We're good. Fire code, we're good. We've already said we're okay.
Yeah.
We don't want to break that rule here.
Chief's got the host pre-prime in case you need anything.
Joe?
Okay. We got like 30 seconds, but.
And it gets that long to quiet them down.
Yeah. All right, folks, we're going to get started here 27 seconds early, if people don't mind. I'm going to call the meeting to order here at 6:30. We have a quorum. Vice Chair Josh Klein Golden is going to be a little bit late due to unforeseen circumstance that arose today. We expect him here before 7. Other than that, we have a quorum, so we'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Alrighty, amendments to the agenda. I'm going to move that we bring the RSU 5 school superintendent conversation to the first amendment, the first order of business after we approve our meeting minutes. Does anyone want to make that motion?
I'll make the motion.
Rebecca,
Second.
second from John. Any questions or discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Any opposition? Seeing none, it passes unanimously. Just a quick note before we open public comment. My intent for tonight is public comment will be open as normal right now, but we're going to have a presentation from the superintendent and then provide opportunity for public comment and questions for anything that he has to say. So if you're here to ask questions about the superintendent's presentation or discussion, that's a great time to do it. And then when we get to the pay-as-you-go bag system, pay-as-you-throw bag system, we're going to open up public comment before that, 3 minutes per person. We're going to have a discussion, and then we can facilitate questions from folks as well. So there'll be a separate public comment period for that. So you're welcome to do public comment now, but if you're here for either the superintendent or for the pay-as-you-throw, there'll be a separate public comment for that tonight. So with that being said, public comment is open generally. If anyone wants to come up and say we're doing a great job or that they think the fire station looks awesome, now's a good time to do that. Okay.
No takers.
Okay, no takers? All right. I tried. All right. Do I have a motion to approve the last meeting minutes as presented? Deb, do I have a second?
Second.
John, any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Any opposition? Passes unanimously. All right, so now we're going to give the floor to the RSU 5 school superintendent, Tom Gray.
Where would you like to?
Anywhere right here.
Boy, I didn't live this. I should always combine my visits with trash.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we figured we put the big ticket items all together. So, if you want, you can. I think that it would be great if you were to look towards the crowd to address them. Whatever your good side is, aim over there because that's where the camera is.
Do this.
Yeah.
Okay, that's great.
Okay.
Hey, Dr. Gray, if you speak of that's all we've got for a microphone.
Okay, I'll try to speak up.
Yeah.
Thank you. So I don't have a presentation tonight, and I'm here with 2 members of the RSU 5 board who live in Durham. Steph Worth, I'm sorry, and Lois Kilby-Chesley, who are right in the front row. And the reason that I asked if the Durham Select Board would like to have me come is really to answer questions about what's going on with the school budget process and also with some discussions that I have initiated with the board about possible reconfigurations of the school district in an effort to maybe save some money over the long term and also, and I think actually more importantly, have better outcomes for students. So I don't know, maybe it would be helpful if I just ask for a show of hands if anybody has followed any of those discussions. Okay, so a good number of you. So in a nutshell, why don't I start with next year's budget? And if you've been following this will be somewhat repetitive, but I will try to condense it so that it is understandable. So when I came as superintendent last summer, one of the first things I looked into was the status of the budget. And what I found was that if I were to take a status quo budget next year, which simply means just take everything we currently have and are doing and roll it forward, it would be an increase of over 10%. So that did not feel like something I could do. But then I looked historically at what have the budget increases been over the past couple of years in this district. So last year it was about 6.5-ish, and the year before that it was about 6.5-ish. Also kind of high, but not over 10. So I called for a special meeting of the RSU 5 board in November, and I basically told them this. And I said, I can't be the brand new superintendent who doesn't even live here, who either brings forward a budget that's over 10% increase, or just to get it down to where the increases have been for the past few years, it would require cutting almost $2 million, which is about 17 teaching positions. So I asked for guidance from the board about where they wanted me to aim. And what they asked at the time was for tiers at 6, 7, and 8%. So that's what I have developed. And that's what we've been discussing at the RSU 5 board meeting since the end of January. And because about 85% of the school district's budget is wages and benefits, we can't get that amount of reduction without, I mean, we can do some with things like technology and deferring some maintenance and not buying as many pencils or whatever, but really you can't get that far without positions. So the board is right now considering its options, and I've laid out what a 6% would look like, a 7% and an 8%. My recommendation has been the 7% or the middle tier, which the 6% tier would bite deeply into some of our programs in a way that I don't think is appropriate or would be good for kids. The 8% tier brings it down, but probably not enough. We all have also looked at projections over the longer term. What happens if we cut at each tier now, and what that does over the next 2 or 3 years? And my recommendation is still that we reduce to that 7% of that middle tier. But I want folks to know that that's the discussion that's happening with the RSU 5 board right now, and that the board will adopt a budget on March 25th. So maybe I should stop with that. That's one of the major irons in the fire that we have at the moment. And how would you like to handle questions, Jim?
Yeah,
Want me to just take them, or?
Well, I think what would be great is if folks have questions, you just raise your hand, I can call on you, and as long as you give me your name and the street that you live on, that would be great. And then we'll give you the opportunity to answer, but I can kind of serve as a independent facilitator here, because I'm not going to be asking any questions. I really just want to create the space for the community. So
Okay.
We'll start with you.
Hi, Jeannie Costigan, Rangdale Road. Quick question, you mentioned 17 positions. Out of those 17 positions, how many are currently filled or how many are just placeholders?
That's a great question. So they're all filled, except for we have 5.5 special ed tech positions that are open. That at that middle level, we have some ed tech reductions of general ed techs, and those people would be able to slide into some of the open positions.
But you still have to keep the budget line open for open positions.
For those particular ones especially, because they're special ed.
Yeah.
And some of them are connected directly to kids' IEPs, and we have to at least make a good faith effort to find people.
Can you clarify what IEP?
An IEP is when a student is in special education, they have to, by law, have an individualized education plan. And so that's what an IEP is. That's federal law.
Yes, sir.
My name is Brad Owen. I live on Ada Drive. My question is, what, in your opinion, is the cause for this increase in the budget? Is it inflation, increased cost of benefits, or what do you think is causing?
The macro causes inflation. Underneath that is next year, the wages and benefits are slated to go up due to contractual obligations that have been negotiated already in the past.
Yes.
Jeff Jaffe, Rangdale Road. When you say reconfiguration of the What are you thinking there?
So that's kind of my next topic. Right now, I'm just talking about next year's school budget, but in addition to that, we're having conversations about beyond next year, we could move students around to different buildings within the district to create more efficiency, potentially.
Phyllis Brandon, Brookside Drive. You mentioned teacher positions. Are there any administrative positions being considered?
No.
Any other questions on this topic? I see people scratching. I don't know if that's like a half a hand raise or we're tipping our toes in the water here.
One more question.
Yeah.
Sorry. Do I have to-
No, you're good.
Okay, all right, great. So if you're talking, oh, wait a minute, are we taking questions for the next piece about the reconfiguration?
I was gonna let you start, if there's anything you wanted to speak on about the reconfiguration first before we open for the.
Sure. Any more questions
Yeah.
about next year's budget first?
That, it pertains to the budget, but it's also the reconfiguration.
Yeah, I was gonna let him give a little bit of context in case folks hadn't been following the reconfiguration conversation.
So why don't I talk about that piece now?
Mhm.
So in November, when the board asked me to give them tiers at 6, 7, and 8%, they also asked me to come up with some ideas for beyond just next year, how can we become more efficient or have greater sustainability? So I took that topic to the administrative team. We, in the process of talking it through with them, what I found is that there have been some ideas already out there being discussed among them and also in the community that need to come to light. So I brought those ideas to the board just before February break. So I think it was February 11th when I first presented. And if you go to our website, you can find the presentation I gave and you can find a recording of the way I gave it and the board's discussion afterwards. And so I presented 3 scenarios for a longer term. The first is, well, really is just to maintain the status quo. Have the school buildings just as they are. There are good things and bad things with any of these scenarios. The easy thing about that scenario is that it requires the least amount of change and people are accustomed to it. And often people feel strongly about the school that they're already in. And that is worthy of consideration. The difficult thing is that we have some problems with the current configuration that we definitely need to solve. First is cost. The second is, on top of all this, the state passed a law that requires school districts to take up the responsibility of providing special education to 3 and 4-year-olds. And currently that's being done by CDS, Child Development Services. But the responsibility for that is going to shift from CDS to school districts everywhere in the state by July of 2028. And there's been some financial incentive for school districts who take that on earlier. So in order to get some of that financial incentive, this district made the choice to take that on starting next year. So, but it would be phased in. So next year we would just take on responsibility for 4-year-olds, which is pre-K. And the year after that, we would take on responsibility for 3-year-olds, knowing that we're going to have to do this anyway. For 4-year-olds, we're pretty well set up to do that because we already have pre-K. And most of the kids who are in pre-K in this district, I should back up. Most of the 4-year-olds who live in our district who have a need for special education are already being given that through our pre-K. 75% of them are. So for next year, in terms of space and capacity to meet that need, we're pretty well set with what we have. What we're not set with is the year after that for 3-year-olds. We don't have any more space. We really do not. So we have to come up with a solution to that within the next year. So that's a need that we have to address, and keeping things the way they are right now doesn't give us good solutions for that. And then a third thing that has come up is that the middle school kids across the district have very different experiences because Freeport and Pownell's grades 6, 7, and 8 go to Freeport Middle School, and Durham's stay right here, and they don't get the same experience. I'm not saying that one is better than another. They're both really, really good in their own way. But when we take a look at in Freeport Middle School, those kids get STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math as a core class. Here at Durham, they only get it as a special. At Freeport Middle School, there's more opportunity for world language than there is here in Durham. Because Durham is a pre-K to 8 school, it operates on an elementary school schedule, which starts later than the middle school and the high school, which means if a Durham kid wants to be on a sports team, they have to get out to be dismissed earlier and miss more school to do that. So there are some inequities, and a way we could fix that is to have a district middle school, to have all the middle school kids come together. And the current configuration does not support that. So that was scenario 1 that I presented. And scenario 2 is to take the Pownell school and turn it into a district-wide early childhood center. And that would have both 3-year-olds and 4-year-olds from across the district all being served in Pownell. Right now we have pre-K here in Durham, we have it at Pownell, and we have it at Moore Street School in Freeport. When we have to take on the 3 and 4-year-olds, some problems for meeting that need is that, if I just put this in really practical terms, we're going to have to probably hire, let's say, an additional speech language pathologist. Most of the IEPs for 3-year-olds are for speech delays. That's a big portion of them. So we're going to need to hire another person for that. It is very inefficient to have them running all over Robin Hood's barn to serve kids in 3 locations. But if we put them in 1 location, and the Pownell School is very well sized, it's the perfect size for that. What we could then do is, see if you can follow this here, because it's like a merry-go-round. Pownell's K through 6 kids would come here. Durham's 7 and 8 kids would go to Freeport Middle School. So all the 7 and 8s would be together. And then Freeport's 6th graders, who are currently at Freeport Middle School, would go back to Mass Landing School. Mass Landing is currently grades 3 to 5, so it would become 4 to 6. And Moore Street School, which is right now pre-K to 2, well, they would be losing the pre-K because it would be going out to Pownell. So they could become K through 3. And by not having to add any buildings, if I come back to, we don't have space for the 3-year-olds, this is a way to accomplish that and not have the expense of adding more buildings. There would be some expense in probably, we'd have to make alterations to the Pownell School. But we wouldn't have to say build a wing onto the middle school or build an entire new building or rent a new building for early childhood. Of course, the downside to all this is it's a lot of change, especially if you live in Pownell, and if you live in Durham. But I think perhaps some of you know folks in Pownell are having a pretty strong reaction to that idea at the moment, and I don't blame them. The third scenario that we discussed and I presented was to actually keep early childhood split up, but then to bring all the 6th graders in the district together at Pownell. So once again, the Pownell School would be repurposed not to serve just the town of Pownell, but to serve the whole district. But instead of early childhood, it would be grade 6. We've run in our minds through some of the costs and benefits of that scenario. It's kind of a cool idea, but it's harder to pull off when you think about it's not just the kids that would have to go there. It's art teacher, music teacher, special ed. It's all the things. So that is just a little bit more difficult. So, and those were just the first 3 ideas that we came up with that we thought, here are some ideas that we could look at. And I asked the board really to find out if any of these ideas are viable. It actually costs significant money and time and efforts to actually, you have to hire consultants and do a facility study and make sure it's done right before you make a big change like that. So I asked the board, do you want to go further with this at all? And they basically said, yes, they did. They didn't vote to do that, but they had a rich discussion and they said that we should go forward with exploring other options than the current configuration. So what we've done since then is we're putting together, with the board's permission, an RFQ for a facility study from a professional architectural firm. And that process is going to take at least, I mean, we're estimating that won't be done until December of next year. Because you have to put it out to bid and then you've got it like just takes a long time. So in a nutshell, that's the conversation about possible reconfiguration. I don't know where it lands. The ideas that I presented were intended as conversation starters. There might be other ideas and other recommendations that come up while we think about just the entire idea of change, but the idea of change is what I put on the table.
All right, well, thank you very much. I'm gonna now facilitate some questions and we can start back there.
Thanks for that explanation. So
Yeah.
first thing about, they're both actually budgetary.
We
As
have
far
the
as
name,
Oh, it's the same as earlier.
I don't know, she didn't say before.
Yeah, oh, I
Yeah,
did, I'm
the
sorry.
first time
I
she
don't
did,
know
sorry,
who
yeah.
it is.
If you could
Sorry,
repeat it.
Jeannie Costigan
Yeah.
from 68 Rangdale Road.
Yeah.
Again, anyway. Two-part question. Number one, the transportation costs.
Mhm.
I would imagine that it would be cheaper to move an art teacher between the facilities than it is to arrange bus and all that kind of stuff for pickup and drop off of all the Pownell versus Durham versus and so forth.
Yep.
So has that,
We haven't fully fleshed it out yet.
Okay.
That's one of the things we would have to like spend time and effort to really.
and then another
Right.
concern is going to be, I don't know how much of the history and so forth, but as far as budgeting concern and getting that school vote through, it has always been, at least here in Durham, been a sore point for taxpayers that Freeport has a primary, gets the primary vote, and Pownell and Durham have a lesser amount just due to numbers. If you're moving kids around, does that change?
No.
Thank you.
Yes.
Brian,
Just your street as well. please, Brian.
25 Passport
Thank
Road, Durham. Do you have a rough estimate on how many kids the third and fourth grade, 3 and 4 year olds would be? I know it's hard to estimate, but like you must have some sort of.
Yeah,
estimate.
it's roughly. We're going to have next year. I know that we have. Gosh, I just ran these numbers. We anticipate 128 pre-K kids next year, so that's just 4-year-olds. Of those, 25 will have IEPs.
Okay.
And then with the 3-year-olds, we just don't know yet because it's murky.
Mhm.
A lot of 3-year-olds who have some kind of developmental need are just still at home with their
Oh, yeah,
parents and they
absolutely.
haven't been screened yet. So but what other districts have found as they take this on, because we're like sort of right in the middle of districts in the state who are doing this. Once you build the program, all of a sudden,
Yeah.
they start coming out because the school district can do it better than CDS. And a good thing I should say is that although it is, this is an added burden for us. This is adding a whole new grade span to the school system. The data that school districts are finding is that this is actually helping kids get out of special ed earlier because they're getting services earlier. So it is a benefit. I also forgot to mention, but I should, the money for the 3 and 4-year-olds, just the ones with IEPs, mind you. So the state is taking the money that it currently sends to CDS, who's now serving them, and is going to be sending that money to us. So if I were working for the DOE right now, the Department of Education, I would tell you that 100% of the costs for those kids with IEPs were going to be covered by the money that CDS is getting, which will now come to us.
Mhm.
But I don't work for them. I work for you. And the way it is looking to me is that we all know the state gives subsidy for public school anyway. We all know that, at least in this district and every other one that I've worked in, the amount of money the state gives you for your schools is not nearly enough to provide the education that you think your kids deserve. So I would predict that there will be some cost associated for this that will hit the local taxpayers if we want to do it the way you would want to have it done.
And so the financial incentive for us to do that early, like what, is it a percentage? Is it a monetary amount? Like what?
It's
is
a
that?
monetary amount, but it's really based on, they have yet another pot of money that is for startup costs. So it's for things like curriculum units, playgrounds, all the stuff you would need to actually fit out pre-K and preschool classrooms. Another consideration about doing it a year early, it's not money from the state. It's that it is actually extremely difficult to hire a speech language pathologist or an OT or a physical therapist or any of those specialized professions that we would need to have work for us. And if we wait, those people will be employed by other school districts first.
Do we have any, yeah, right here, sir.
Quick question or clarification rather,
Oh.
Steve Temple, Deerville Road. You said, December next year, next school year or next year?
Next year.
27.
December of 26 is when we estimate right now we could get the facility study done
Okay, so
and
December
have it to read.
this year, okay.
Yeah.
all right,
Oh, next school year.
Next year.
Jill Gaston Gates, Cole Road. Does the viability study, you said it looks at the architecture of the buildings, but does it also look at the bus routes, the bus lengths, and the impact on these kids having to, I mean, my son to go to Freeport had to get on a bus at 6:20 in the morning. I can't imagine him doing that when he was below high school age. He barely did it for high school.
Exactly.
It does look at those things. In fact, it'll look at whatever we ask it to look at. We have a draft of the request for proposals that we're going to bring to the facilities committee tomorrow evening. If anybody wanted to, if that's a public meeting, anybody could come. Right now, our thinking is that we want to keep it somewhat broad. Like we could write into it to explore the uses of Powell Elementary School as an early childhood center. We're not going to write that because we don't want to like predetermine any outcome. We really want to find out what option, keep it broad, as many options as possible. So we will write transportation into it, a demographic study, what kind of renovations within the next 5 to 10 years each of these buildings needs, how long the boilers will last, all of that stuff.
Just, do you guys have an idea or a thought process of what this study would cost and what line item out of the school budget this comes out of?
Yep, so the board at its last meeting authorized us to spend up to $100,000 for the study. In a previous district where I worked a few years ago, I think they paid 70 something for such a study. It was incredibly useful. And we have, so in try to make school finance as quick as short and understandable as possible. We paid for it out of capital reserve. And capital reserve is where you wouldn't want to pay for salaries out of that. You'd want to pay for when you need a new roof or when you need to do something like that's a one-time expense.
Really,
Yeah.
fund.
Yes.
Any other questions? Yeah,
Here, Simcoe, Timber Oak Drive. Once this feasibility study is done, does any of this information or does the town have any opportunity to vote, or is it on the school board that makes the decision from there?
That's a great question. Well, first, it'll definitely all be public. The board ultimately the board decides if it wants to put it out to referendum.
So the board would make that decision, it wouldn't bypass the voters. and go-
No, and in fact, depending what option is chosen, the second option that I had mentioned, the repurposing Powell, that actually legally amounts to a school closure because of the number of grade levels impacted. So there's a whole process that would have to be gone through that does involve that town in particular voting.
Uh,
Oh, sorry. It's
Steph Worth, Newellbrook Road. It's a facility study, not a feasibility study.
Great.
That's an important distinction. Just wanted to make it down.
I just had a follow-up. You mentioned earlier about, equity, and you brought up the example of a, Durham resident wanting to play on a school sports team. Just want to put it out there. You're talking about 50% less opportunity when it comes to athletics, right? I mean, 7th and 8th grade at Freeport, I coach basketball, right? There's
Yep.
not gonna be more roster spots.
Mhm.
So it seems interesting that we're saying, hey, this is to provide opportunity, but is there a path to make more opportunity when it comes to athletics?
I'm not sure I
There's only
follow.
12 spots on the basketball team.
Oh, I
And if we're
mean,
combining Durham and Freeport,
Less kids.
less kids get to play.
Do you have an A and B team?
Well, there's a 7th and 8th grade, but
You could have A and B.
there's already a name,
For each
so it's
school.
50% less.
I mean, that may be true for kids playing time in games, but they get to practice. There could be different levels of sports.
Yeah, I mean, it's still less
Yeah.
teams.
Yeah. I should also point out, and I hope it is really no skin off my nose what the board and community decides. I'm personally really okay with whatever decision fits the best in the community, but I think what we're at is the moment where they have to get talked about. All of the different options that are out there, we've got to explore options and have an honest conversation about what's the district that you, not me, you want to be.
I'm just.
So, no, I have a hand up here.
Hi, I'm Jeannie's husband.
And where do you live?
Y'all are on opposite ends of the room, so.
So in the new configuration, how many Durham students would be going to DCS?
The 7th and 8th grade, which is about 100.
And how many?
Would
go
you mean
there
to
now?
Freeport Middle School?
No, how many go?
Oh, okay, so it would be the current amount.
How many Durham students would go to school?
So right now there's 450-ish,
Yeah.
including the 100, so it'd be about 350 would be
No.
right here.
Durham students with 7th and 8th grade here, is that what you were proposing?
So the Durham school would be a K to 6
K to
school.
6?
And so all of Durham's K to 6 students would go there.
Okay,
And Durham's pre-K kids would go over to Powell.
gotcha.
And Durham's 7th and 8th would go into Freeport.
Any other questions? Yeah, over here.
My name is Christy Gayton. I live on Hollow Road. What, in the greater impact on most of these, it feels like Durham and Pownell will stand to see the most change as far as where their students go.
Yep.
What would be the look when you look at Freeport and any of the changes they would be having? Where would they be coming over to our schools, or would they stay all in their town?
All of their early childhood would come out to Powell.
But as far as everybody else goes, it would be us going to Freeport on their trip.
At least in that scenario.
At least in that scenario.
Yep.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Comment, not a question, just an FYI, bear in mind when you're doing these budgets, I was at a friend's house today, she paid $4.79 a gallon for oil. So.
That's not gonna help anybody.
It's certainly not gonna help the arguments, people can't afford anything else at this point.
Well, I feel I should say, the conversation about these longer term scenarios is about how to be more efficient. It's about how to save money.
With a 6.8% increase. I mean, I understand teacher contracts, I was one,
Yep.
but, we need a Polish speaker teacher, no. Like it has been presented to us in the past, we need 3 French teachers. We don't have one here,
No, and in fact, I recommended cutting the one at Freeport Middle School in part because there isn't one at Durham.
Right, and so this is where the disparity between the Durham, Pownell, Freeport residents come out, just a comment.
No, and I think that gives me an opportunity to respond about next year's budget that I've proposed.
Mhm.
So if you have a chance to go and look at what that proposal is, what I noticed when we looked at this strongly through a lens of equity. And the places that if we're going to reduce, primarily where it needs to be is Freeport Middle School and Freeport High School. And that's if I look at where the class sizes are smallest and where the kids with the fewest needs are. And what we've tried to preserve is at the lower grades, especially, and in special ed, having ample staff there. What makes that conversation, I'm going to go to Powell's select board in a few weeks.
Good luck.
I mean, I have to say, I was at the school the other day. We had public comments from folks at Powell last board meeting. And then I've had a few of those folks come and meet with me the past couple of weeks. People are shocked and they don't love the idea, but they've been respectful. And they also get that, I mean, I'm not eager to disrupt anybody's dearly beloved school. But when I'm with my administrative team, as I was the past few months, and we're looking at where can we make cuts that's the most equitable and that hurts kids the least, and we can't even really get to Pownell until the deepest tier, because a cut at Pownell with one class per grade level, that one cut has a much bigger impact. That's what's not equitable. And that's the conversation that we need to have, is that the configuration of that little school, like every other little rural school in Maine and across the country, is just inherently inflexible and inefficient, and it's nobody's fault. It is what it is, and maybe we decide to keep it that way. And if we do, that's fine. But if we decide to keep it, it should be after we really think about what that means and what other things we could do.
Yeah.
Gary Owen, Ada Drive. This is basically just a comment about, our kids are grown up now, but back in the day when Durham Elementary didn't look like that, our kids were in the little modulars.
Yeah.
Now, I know that's not ideal and we didn't love it, but is that like an option instead of building a brand new building? I know it's kind of like a Band-Aid.
We've talked about it. It's not an attractive option because actually after, I think it's like 5 years, it costs more money. So it's probably better if we're going to make a change to just make the change we need to make. That's just my thinking. That may not be the board's thinking, and that they really get to decide, but we did look at that.
Yeah.
Brian, I may have missed this at the beginning, but is there assistant principal and a principal at each school right now?
At every place except Pownell. Pownell just has a principal.
Okay. And do you feel like the student enrollment in each school warrants having both at those schools, or a floating principal to cover 3 schools?
We have looked at that, and to answer the question that came up before about administration, we looked at whether or not there should be cuts in administration. And that's just not really where we have excesses at the moment. Our ratios for that are pretty typical.
Okay.
Actually,
you're basing the coverage based on the ratio per student.
Not just that.
Okay.
I can tell you at the central office, like at the district level, we're actually very skeletal compared to most other districts. We have me, an assistant superintendent, a director of finance, and a special ed director. We don't have an assistant special ed director. Although with early childhood, one of the things that state money will pay for is an early childhood director that will function as an assistant special ed director. We have very few compared to other districts secretarial positions at the central office. We have a director of transportation. We have a food services school nutrition director. We have a facilities director.
Yeah. And I think just from like an outside of not knowing how many kids are in each of those schools, it seems a little excessive to have assistant principal and principal for whatever it is, K-3 or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I mean, if they're being utilized, I think that makes sense. But Durham, we have pre-K-8, and we have 2 positions.
Yep.
We have
The
3
ratios
classes.
definitely are not the same.
Yeah.
And one of the ways that you've been particularly lucky in Durham is just with, frankly, who you've had. Which is with Mr. Pidden retiring, that's going to be a huge change. But one of the things we noticed with when we tried to assess like the impact of the assistant principals, since we hired them, the attendance has dramatically improved. And that's where a lot of their attention is.
And when did they get hired?
2 years ago?
So.
Well, it depends on the
with
school.
COVID, I mean, the COVID attendance is, I think it's hard to compare those numbers because we have.
Well, but I've worked in other districts where that's not been the case.
Okay.
Just recently.
Yeah.
And of course, the high school's had an assistant principal for longer. Durham's had an assistant principal for longer. The middle school, it's really at Mass Landing and Moore Street where those were added. And we're seeing a lot of benefit from those positions.
Sure.
Where we really looked at, where sort of like, I hate to call any of our staff members extra because everybody brings something, but where we definitely could make reductions without harming kids is primarily at Freeport Middle School and then some at Freeport High School.
Okay.
In the past few years, the elementary schools in Freeport and in Durham had been taking cuts already.
And in what areas are those in, like the STEM stuff that you talked about, or is that?
What areas were
What areas do you feel are, you could make cuts in the high school and the middle school?
We can reduce a math teacher at the high school because of the class sizes. We looked at that, we know we can do that. We have 2 Latin teachers and we don't need 2 Latin teachers. We can reduce a Latin teacher. There's a position at the high school. There's an office position called the printing clerk. We can reduce that position. There is a position for community outreach, and that the person who's in it does a fantastic job. But when I weigh that against keeping kindergarten classes at manageable sizes, for example, that position can be reduced to half, and the school counseling department can assist with the other half.
Are these cuts being proposed for this budget?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, they're in the budget.
On the school's website, there's a link that you can click on
Mhm.
that has a PowerPoint presentation that lays out each of the tiers the school board's considering and which position would be reduced.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Yes.
I'm Catherine Curtis on Brianna Drive. I just wanted to compliment you for being so proactive about this, especially with the upcoming changes. When I think about Portland School District is actually considering closing Portland High School and only going to Deering. So when you think about, that's a huge step, that's equally as impactful. So it's important that you're bringing this now versus a year from now when the study is done. So I just wanted to compliment you on that.
I appreciate that.
It's not restricted, like, it's Portland. You know, my father would roll over and scream if he thought he had to go to Derry, you know what I'm saying? So it's that kind of thing, that is important to putting that out there so far ahead. So.
I appreciate
And
that.
again, it's not just our, it's not gonna just impact, it's going across the state, I'm sure. And we're lucky, we're fairly geographically lucky. If you
I
go
think-
north of Lewis and Auburn, those kids are driving all over the place.
Well, that's so one of the districts that I just worked in not too long ago is RSU 3, and that is interior Waldo County. So if you've ever been to the Common Ground Fair, that's where it is. And in that district, it's 11 towns. The district geographically is 1/3 the size of Rhode Island. And so it's the second largest district in the state. And in that district, they have this one big, beautiful building called the Mount View Complex, which is right there on the same road as the Common Ground Fair. It has a big white Mustang. And I was the high school principal. But also in that building is Mount View High School, Mount View Middle School, Mount View Elementary School, all in one building. And 1,100 people there. And then in addition to that, they had 4 little town schools in Monroe, Brooks, Troy, and Liberty. And while I was there, they had to make a decision about closing 2 of those little schools. Because, you know, in Liberty, Walker School was 100 years old. The boiler was, I think, 99 years old. Almost, the roof needed to be done. There was asbestos. And the enrollment in Liberty had just gone down and down and down. And it was only going to have like 68 kids in it. And they had to decide, you know, are we going to throw good money after bad to keep this school open when it's just not viable? And the same was true of the school in Brooks, Morse Memorial. They did end up closing 2 of those schools. And when they live out, you know, in a rural area, those kids are on the bus up to the Mount View complex in Thorndike, and some of those bus rides are really long.
I graduated from there and went.
So
to
did my wife.
Elementary, middle school and high school, and the bus rides were terrible.
Yeah.
long.
Yeah. What town did you live in?
Well, Freedom for a while.
Okay.
And then Thorndike and Knox.
My wife grew up in Montville.
Any other questions?
I apologize for being late. My daughter was hurt yesterday, so we can't leave her alone right now. I really do appreciate you coming. And I think you reached out and Joe and Jerry for setting this up. And I hope it's something we can do more often when big issues, especially when big issues come up.
Well, I felt that it was the least I could do. And I think that I really meant it when I said, the win for me is that we get something that people feel good about. I mean, not everybody's going to feel good about whatever it is, but that most people feel is the right choice. And I think I'd love for people to be engaged and follow along and watch our board meetings, come to our board meetings. There are big questions that we're addressing now, so I think that would be really important.
Any other questions before we wrap up our conversation with Tom here? Well, Tom, thank you for coming in. Really
welcome.
Appreciate making the space for everyone. So, and thank you for everyone bringing great questions. So,
Of course, did you need me for anything else?
no, you're relinquished. So,
Okay, I'm gonna
class
go to my
dismissed,
wife.
right? No, there.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tom.
Yeah.
All righty.
Thanks.
I'm not sure how to do the same thing.
Yeah.
I don't want to miss one.
Nice to see you without it being about.
Just gonna give folks a moment to cycle through.
Yeah.
I know. We have to track things the other day, so I don't get wall, driving by.
All right, so our next topic of discussion is our old business, which is the pay-as-you-throw trash discussion. So the way I want this to work tonight, because I know this is a really important thing, and first off, I want to start by saying we've received a lot of great comments and a lot of great feedback, which is going to help us make our decision tonight. And I have received tons of emails. I'm doing my best to respond to all of them and provide people with information. They're coming in faster than I can respond. And so I want to make sure we take the appropriate amount of time. So if you sent an email and you haven't heard back from me, we have received it. We're just working on it. Hopefully tonight can answer some questions as well. Just to give a little bit of background of why we are here. So our last meeting, we talked about our new trash contract with Casella. And we have entered into a new contract because our previous contract expired. We followed the normal process of putting out a request for proposals to get people to apply to service our town for trash pickup. The only person who responded was Casella. That was the only bid we had, and we entered into the contract with Casella. Now, part of their bid contract included the fact that they were going to switch over to an automated trash pickup service partway through the contract, which is kind of the standard operating procedure now. These companies are having a really hard time staffing people on the back of the truck, really high liability issues, very high workman's comp, lots of injury rates, and so they're moving over to an automated trash pickup, which essentially robot arm grabs the trash, puts it in. And in doing so, you're required to switch over to a special bin that can accommodate that robotic arm that picks it up. And in doing so, there's now no one hopping off the back of the truck and removing a trash tag to certify that you have put the adequate documentation on your trash to pick up. And so we understand that that's a really big change, and we went over it and talked about it at length in our last meeting. Tonight's discussion is about the pay-as-you-throw trash system that we're considering. So since we're no longer selling trash tags, the thought process that we had was we would move to a pay-as-you-throw bag system to offset the lost revenue from trash tags. Trash tags generally generate around $30,000 or more a year in revenue. At the same time, the trash contract price is increasing. We're seeing it's gonna be over an $80,000 increase to have this new trash contract. And that contract increases every year, usually by 5% or whatever the consumer price index for trash is, whichever is higher, which is standard contract language. So rather than rolling that entire new expense into the taxes, this board thought that what we could do is utilize a pay-as-you-throw bag system to offset some of that expense. So at a $1.80 bag, it estimates about $120,000 worth of revenue, which would offset almost all of the new trash expense plus the lost revenue from the tax. And now that's one option that we were considering. A lot of comments we've received are that people would like to just see that cost rolled into their tax bill, and so they could just pay that and not have to worry about bags. Totally a viable option. You will see once as we go through the budget, we'd have to remove $120,000 worth of revenue, which would drive the budget up $120,000, which means we have to raise and appropriate $120,000 more, which represents about a 1% increase in the total budget. Totally an option that's available for people to give feedback on tonight. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to just give that background, and then we can open the floor here to have people give public comment on their thoughts on this process before the board is then going to go into a discussion to make our decision on how we want to move forward. The other option too is if we were to decide to go with the pay-as-you-throw bag system, we could have a period of time, say from now until August 1st or something like that, where we say no more worrying about trash tags. We credit everyone trash pickup for the next 5 months without having to worry about tags to give you all credit for tags that you may have already acquired. That's another option on the table. But what we really need to do is we need to hear from everyone here, take into consideration all the feedback we received, and then make a decision tonight. So with that being said, I'm going to open the floor to comment. Generally speaking, for public comment, we use about 3 minutes per person. Understanding this is a really important topic and that there's a lot of questions that people have, we're going to exercise our authority just using best judgment on giving people time to provide comments and get answers and stuff like that. So it's a little bit more interactive than some of our other public comment. So with that being said, I'd like to open the floor for public comment if anyone else has anything that they want to provide. Yes, sir. And just same as always, name and road.
Maintenance break, Auburn Panel Road.
Nice to see you again.
Trash bags. Who's gonna supply them?
Yeah, so we have looked at an option with a company called Waste Zero, and they work with, I think, about 300 municipalities throughout the Eastern Seaboard, and they can supply trash bags for us at all the different local shopping centers, and then that's where they can be picked up if we were to go this route.
Make sure and please get samples. I
Yeah.
worked for the city of Portland for 41 years.
Mhm.
They're still in the paper bags, and those bags, they're terrible.
Mhm.
They're junk. You can't even open them.
Mhm.
You're gonna get a lot of complaints if you don't get a good looking bag. How big are these bags are gonna be? That's
Yeah.
the next question.
2 bag types. So one tall kitchen bag, 13 gallons, which is supposed to be about what fits in your standard kitchen receptacle. And then a larger 33-gallon bag. When the representative came in, he said that the bags were 3 mil bags, if I remember correctly. So a thicker bag compared to your standard trash bag, because this company said that they found once you move to a pay-as-you-go bag system, people want to put as much as they can in each bag, so they went with a thicker bag for that reason. So it's closer to a contractor bag thickness than it is a standard trash bag thickness.
Tie bag?
I don't know if it's a pull tight or a tie off. Oh, sorry, it's a tie bag, yeah. Yes, sir?
I'm Daryl Costigan, Rangdale Road. Is it normal in Durham to have a single bidder for your contracts?
So we put out a request for proposals generally for how many weeks?
Like 3 weeks.
Usually for 3 weeks, and then we have to we put that out through official channels like Maine Municipal Association and other places, and then we have to we wait to see what we receive for bids. The last time we put out the trash contract, I think we only got two bids, and one of the people didn't have any of the equipment to actually do that. So last time we had 2 bids, one of them wasn't able to actually do the work, and so we went with Casella last time as well. So it's not much different than what we have seen. The service provider that provided the bid has a really strong footprint in this marketplace.
So there's no other people that do it in our area?
None that submitted a bid, no.
So if I could, the last time before this, we had the two bids. That person wanted to get into the business, but didn't have any of the trucks, didn't have the personnel, didn't have all the, I think the general knowledge is
Mhm.
fair to say. So it's the only bid we've had from a company that is in the business already for at least the last, I want to say that was probably 10 or 15 years ago by now.
Mhm. Yeah. In the back, sir?
Still Brad Owen, still Ada Drive. So I sometimes can be a little bit slow, but are we talking about two different things here? The bag system with a different contractor and the Casella system with the
Yes, so two different things. Casella is the bins. That's all said and done. That's happening. The bags is a different conversation. That's with Waste Zero, which was what we're talking about tonight. Sorry, I want to let you be able to continue.
So we're getting both? Is that what we're
Yes.
saying?
Yep. So
What's going in the bins? Is that recycling or is that?
So with the new system with Casella, with the automatic bins, you put bags in the bins. You have a recycling bin, you have a trash bin. What we are considering is in addition using the Waste Zero for our bags for trash only. So your recycling pickup, mixed pickup, still the same, just an automatic arm picking it up and putting it in the back of the truck. Your trash pickup would look the same, except it's an automatic arm putting it in the truck, and there is potentially specific bags that would have to be used in that system.
Can I add to that real quick?
Sure.
I think, so we voted to do the pay as you throw, but we haven't signed a contract. We haven't finalized that. And so we heard the feedback from the public. So I think we're holding this to sort of get the feedback and either go forward with it or reconsider and don't go forward with it. So we have the Casella, we've voted on the Waste Zero, but we're not there yet. We haven't started that.
The Casella contract began 2 years ago, and so we're already into that contract.
I just want to reiterate.
1 second.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I think we should reiterate about the
So you can't
bids.
just-
Because
One
some
second.
people.
Sorry, we want to make sure everyone can hear, so if people have side conversations, they could keep them low, or just ask the questions that you have, we can answer them, but Rebecca?
So just to reiterate, so with the contract, we are receiving 2 bins from Casella. We have a recycling bin with a blue top and a black bin or another bin with a black top. And so those are being delivered to every single resident's home the week of April 6th. We understand and Casella understands it is a slow rollout. There's a learning process that's going to take place. So Casella aside, that's what Joe and Josh were talking about that's already happening. But we discussed that and the Casella rep came last meeting, February 27th. So we have all of that information on the YouTube video. If you want to revisit that, just to.
I just also want to make a clarification. My name is Deb Oliver. In order to put the trash in the trash bin, it must be in bags.
Okay.
So we're either gonna buy our bags like we do today, or we'll buy Durham bags, and the community will profit, if you will, or that will go towards, the budgetary thing.
Yeah, but the new Casella bags, you can't throw loose trash in them, but you could just throw your regular trash bag in them, or we're considering this bag system. So I had some other hands up first. Back here, Catherine.
I'm Catherine from Curtis from Brianna Drive. Could you guys just talk a little bit about how the contract is structured? Because I don't think people understand 100%. We have a contract for them to come and take the bid.
Yeah,
Then the
I can
other
explain
part
it,
of the
yeah.
Contract is tonnage. So if we go with no bags, no pay-as-you-throw bags, folks are gonna put more in theory, people are gonna put more in that bin. So the flip side, besides not getting any revenue for the bag, we're also gonna be paying more for the trash itself. So there's 2 parts to the contract.
Yeah, I can explain that,
There's
Catherine.
the service that comes and picks up the bin part, and then also how much do we get rid of part. So by doing pay as you throw, we're gonna have to pay for it one way or the other. We're either gonna have to pay for it with our bags, or we're gonna pay for it in cash. It costs so much to get rid of the trash in Durham, or we go without a system at all.
Yeah, and so to your point, the contract's structured in 2 ways. We have your standard contract just for the service, There, that includes the contracted service and the fee associated with bin management and all those sorts of things. And then we have what's called a tipping fee. So as trash gets picked up and brought somewhere, there's a price incurred when it's brought to where it has to go, and that called tipping fee or tonnage. So however much trash we throw out, that fee goes up per each unit. In addition, every year that percentage goes up on what they charge. I think right now we're at like $120 a ton or something like that. And so we have to estimate based off of previous years what we anticipate tonnage for people to throw trash out. What people have found in the industry is that when you switch over to a larger bin and you have more opportunity to put trash in there and there's no incentive to decrease your trash, then that tonnage goes up. And then we have to absorb that in the tax bill spread across everyone. So even if you only produce 1 bag of trash a week, but I have a newborn, I produce 3 bags of diapers alone a week, my tonnage goes up. Everybody else's tonnage might stay the same, but that has an impact on the whole community. So this system here with the bags is no different than the tags. The tags do the same thing. This just moves it from per bag as opposed to per bin. The tags have also been an imperfect system. I'm not saying anyone in this room does it, but there's reports that people are cutting tags in half so they can try to stretch those. The tags are really only supposed to be for 25 pounds of trash. People are putting way more than that in there. People are making counterfeit tags and then putting them on the trash bag. So it's already not a perfect system. But because we don't have the ability to pull the tags off now, this is the system that would kind of replace that to create an incentive to put less tonnage. What this company has found through the 300 municipalities they've worked with is that they generally see about a 30% reduction in tonnage within the first couple of years of switching over to this system. People become more efficient because they start composting, they start eating all their vegetables so we're not throwing them out in the trash, start donating clothing as opposed to throwing clothing out, start reconsidering what they put in the trash bin. And so they're seeing that decreases the tonnage. So the reason we were exploring this is because it gives you all control more so over your personal trash costs at your home. Because if you're a high producer, you can cut that back. If you're a low producer, you get the benefit from it. But also it could help reduce the total tonnage, which means that in future years we could budget for less tonnage prices as we go along. So it could be a win-win for everyone. All right. I had saw your hand. Okay, all right, and then I'll get to you. I had a hand in the back first. Yep.
So Jeff Gervais, Rangdale.
Mhm.
I think you told me the budget for the solid waste was $521,000 this year.
For this year, yes.
What percentage is service versus tonnage?
So it's about $80,000 for the service of the bin management and things like that. I don't have the exact number on tonnage. I can't recall.
At least $375,000 for the tonnage.
Yeah, about 270 tons
Two-
average.
270
And
tons
$110
average.
a
Yeah.
ton.
So I can do
It's like
some.
82,000.
Is that
Yes.
the information you sent me?
Yes,
I have it right
service.
I
here.
think, okay.
So yeah, 210 tons. You said.
270 tons is your average over the last 5 years at $110 a ton.
Yes. That's about.
It's about 82.5
Yeah. Here we are. Sorry.
for the tonnage.
This is the disposal cost.
Yeah, 82,500 because we do about 750 tons here. So that's the price for just the tonnage. Then the rest is the contract.
For tonnage, or 82,000 for service?
82,000 for tonnage. And so then the rest is the service. So this could, in theory, if it works the way it has in other municipalities, decrease that tonnage price by about 30%.
So we're basically prepaying $80,000 in tonnage.
No, I wouldn't say we're prepaying. We're budgeting for that amount.
Paid for it. I mean, it's
Yeah.
521, it's in the budget, it's coming out of everyone's.
Yeah,
taxes.
and
That's
so
prepaying for it.
we're budgeting for that amount based off of the previous year. If that goes above, then we have to try to find
What
that
if it goes
elsewhere.
below? Do we get some kickback
Yeah,
from
if
that
it goes
tax?
below, that money then gets rolled into revenue. And so then the next year, what we look at is we look at what wasn't used, and we've been using our fund balance or our extra revenue to pay into the budget before we set the tax rate to return any of those surpluses back to the taxpayer before we begin the budget process.
It just seems like we're gonna be paying, it's not, you know the numbers from previous years, so you can say it's gonna be about $80,000, and you're gonna probably be pretty close. So we're paying for tonnage that we can't use unless we buy a trash bag.
Exactly.
We're paying
It's like-
for,
it's like the school budget passing and it's saying you get $80.
we're doing the same system now. So we pay for an estimated tonnage and then we sell,
Right.
we sell tags. So
Correct,
it's
we
the
get
same
26
system.
free tags.
It's the,
Oh,
the tags aren't free. They're built into, they're built in as lost revenue. And then we actually have
No,
a
they're
fee that
double
we charge
taxation,
for
they're double
printing the tags. So it's not double taxation. It's shifting an expense to individuals based off of their based off of their trash consumption, rather than based off of their overall household. So
How many bags do we get then?
0.
we have it. No, 1 second, sir. So we got to make sure we facilitate this in a way so everyone can hear the questions. We're having that bag discussion tonight. We haven't. We are opening this to get feedback to people.
Is there a proposed number of bags?
So we have received some feedback that people want either bags or they want credit for their tags. We have decided to talk about that tonight, and one option would be, rather than buying bags and then holding them up front because there's a logistic issue because of how small of our space is at the town office, we could say we're moving away from tags. So this month through August 1st, let's say, no tags, no bags, to credit everyone for that, and then begin the system starting in August. So 5 months of zero tags, 0 bags to give everyone credit for that, then start with the bag system because there's more time to roll it out. The challenge is when you look at 26 bags. So right now, tags, just the printing of the tags costs us about $3,000. The floor price for bags is 25 cents. So if we did 26 bags times 1,600 households, which is what we have, we'd have to purchase all of those bags, and then I don't have the math off the top of my head. It's a large volume that we'd have to store at the town office, and then get people to come pick up. We're struggling for space over there, and so that would be a logistic challenge. So we're here to hear other options. Yes.
This, just for lack of any better terminology, because this just inflames me as well as I'm sure a lot of people, because I have lived in this town for 26 years
Mhm.
and trash tags have been a bane of people's existence. It is double taxation, no matter how you look at it. We prepay that bill, every single taxpayer in this place, that trash bill, all of it. The contract we pay as
Mhm.
taxpayers. The trash tags are an addition. Everybody's like, we give you 26. No, we paid for 26. That's what everybody does, right? If you have to go to town hall and you buy them for $3 a piece, so be it. That's yep, I use more than that. I go buy them every single 6 months. I'm that gal, right? So by saying we're losing the revenue from these tags, or we're gonna make up the revenue with the bags, basically, for everything that we've prepaid for that contract in our tax bill, and the 18-month bill that I just got, you're telling us that I'm gonna tax you again, here's your bags.
You want me
So,
to?
yeah,
That's how
You want
that
me to- you want-
feels.
So
That's how that feels.
I understand how it feels, but I 100% disagree, and let me explain why. We're prepaying the taxes for the tonnage. You take out the income from the tags or the bags, whichever one you were to use.
Mhm.
That prepayment, as you call it,
Yeah.
would go up.
Mhm.
And that's more of a tax that everybody shares. So if I use 1 bag a week,
Mhm.
I'm paying the same as you who might use 5 bags a week.
Oh,
And-
so you
and
mean
so-
the
and-
low-income lady who has 5 children and doing diapers, screw
Well,
her?
That's not.
Okay, we need to
but
remain
listen-
I'm
calm
sorry,
and
I
professional
apologize.
during this.
I'm
So it's
sorry.
like,
But-
we're here to hear everyone's opinion and try to find a solution here. So we just want to make sure it's a
I
respectful back and
apologize.
forth.
I
Yeah.
apologize profusely.
So
That
we've
wasn't okay.
been looking for an equitable way to spread this out, right? Because
Mhm.
that's what people want.
Mhm.
And there's no perfect system,
No, there
right?
is not.
And so this is a system based on usage.
Mhm.
And that is the most equitable system that I think we've been presented with. I know I've asked Jerry, I asked you last week, I think it was, give me something out of the box. Like I've been trying, I've been asking around. Nobody can come up with out of the box. There's nothing. It's we all pay for equally.
Right.
And so if you use 5 times as much as I do, we're still paying the same.
Yeah.
Or
I think you're missing what I'm saying to you is that 26 tags in the beginning, we have already paid for. We are entitled as taxpayers to receive those
Mhm.
26 tags. And what I'm
So-
understanding is now you have to buy the bags.
So I can explain, if we go, let's say we go zero tax, we get rid of that,
Mhm.
and then we say zero bags.
Mhm.
Because of the increase in the trash contract,
Mhm.
we're now going to take that $521,000 line is going to go up to $630,000.
Right.
So right now the system is we all contribute for a portion of it,
Mhm.
and then those who need more can buy more. If we don't do that, then we all pay for the whole thing, which is totally an option. If everyone in here says, I don't want bags, I don't want tags, I'd rather you add $120,000 to the trash bill, that is totally an option. That's what we're here to hear tonight. And if that's where you fall, that's totally cool. We just budget for what you all ask for, and we have had people ask for other options as a pay as you throw. We're getting feedback that people also don't want that. So totally open book here. We haven't made any decisions on that.
Right. I'd just like to say something too here.
Go ahead.
So it's like the school budget. We all pay equally for whatever that school budget is. I don't have children in the school, I'm paying. There is an opinion that we should do very similar to trash. It's just that's equally across the board. No one's burdened with buying special bags. We have to buy bags anyway.
But that same argument you just made.
Yeah.
We all pay for the school for it, and we
Yeah,
all pay for the
school,
school and so
yeah.
forth. But as Jeff pointed out, in this same scenario, you now have to pay $2 for your kid to ride the bus.
Well, I'm trying to make the opposite point is if we do not go to bags and just spread the fee out against all residents equally, one would think that is not equitable for some families than others. That's an option we can take. In fact, when we first started talking about this, I walked in like no bags, zero. I think I don't want to burden people with buying bags. Where do you buy them? I don't have them. I can't put my trash out, that type of thing. But then we started the discussion about the 2-person household versus the 7-person household. And is that fair to the residents? So that's a dilemma that we're in, and it's great that everybody's adding feedback.
The other thing, we have received feedback. Some folks have reached out. Their words, not mine, said, I'm elderly. I do a really good job of keeping my trash to less than 1 bag a week.
Right.
So I don't want to have to pay for more than my fair share of trash. So in that example, if someone's like, I only fill a 1 13-gallon bag every 2 weeks, I should only have to pay for that one bag. That gives them more opportunity to have control over their household expenses. And one thing we hear all the time when we're budgeting, which we take very serious, that is that there's a lot of people who are on a fixed income, and rather than them splitting this extra $120,000 cost amongst all 16 households, it gives them the opportunity to tighten up that portion of their budget should they choose. So that's just some of the other feedback we're receiving. I've got a hand here, and then Jill, I'll get you third. So, sir.
Hi, Rod Stimpson, Emerson Road.
I guess I'm not here.
I just want
Oh,
to.
I'm sorry. I'll get you right after. I'm sorry,
Go
ma'am.
right ahead. You start. Go, go, go.
please, now I can't.
What do you want?
No, you can take your run.
I'm the demographic you just spoke of. We're retired, we take maybe one kitchen bag trash a week. Everything else we recycle, we compost, and for years I said, I got a filing cabinet to draw full of tags, but we don't use them all. You know, if anybody wants some free tags, give me a call, I'll give them to you. I got probably 500 tags, I don't know. But anyway,
Cash
so.
them in.
You're the most popular
Yeah,
person in
can I
town right now.
But, all joke aside here, it really is, if you're a senior citizen on a fixed income and somebody's saying, oh yeah, you're gonna pay for your neighbor's trash. I mean, with kids, it's different. Nobody says, hey, school's free, let's have 3 more kids, you know? Trash, if the trash is free or your neighbors are paying for it, like you said earlier, people are just gonna throw everything in. I don't care, it's free, I'm paying for it. But you're paying for part of it, I'm paying for that too. So I think by going with, you need a bag, you pay for the bag. It's fair, it's equitable, and it's encouraging everybody to save money by being frugal.
Thank you.
So,
I'm gonna skip you, Jerry. I skipped her by accident. I apologize.
Faith Baker, Pound Road. I have a couple of questions and then comment. I'm with you on the elderly thing. I apologize that we did not go to the last trash meeting with Casella, and I really wish we had, because we live on Pound Road, and in the wintertime, they don't come down our road. There are about 4 of us families on the road that are elderly. yes, we're elderly and we're on fixed income. And, you know, we have various degrees of disabilities and it's easy for us to roll out our trash can right now. My first question is, how big is this trash can that they're gonna provide to us? Is it something that we can physically still roll our bags out? And what happens in the winter? Is Casella gonna come down the road? Cause right now we don't have a truck. So we have to use bags instead of our barrels. We have to put the bags in our car and drive down to the end of the road and just leave our bags there. Because we have no other way of doing that. I'm not gonna be able to roll whatever they're giving us down to the end of the road. Has there been any discussion with Casella about what they're doing with people like us right now, which is making us go down to the end of the road with our bags? Are they gonna come down our road? Are they not gonna come down the road? What about elderly people? What about people that are disabled? How are we gonna manage this?
Yeah, so we had that, I'll put a pin in pay as you throw real quick to answer that. So we had that discussion with Casella a couple times now. The bags, the bins that they provide, the standard bin is a 65-gallon wheeled bin that you can bring to the end of your driveway or the end of your road. If that is too big for folks, they say, hey, give it a try. If you don't like it, you can reach out to us and we can provide you with a smaller bin to make it work for you. So they've had this experience with a lot of other municipalities. They said that they find that most people who have concerns about the bins end up actually liking it, but if that they don't, there is an opportunity to swap in for a smaller bin. As for the roads, Casella did a bunch of research and they drove around. They figured out which roads they're going to drive down, which roads they're going to back down. One thing they did is they're going to now go up and down some of the main roads so people don't have to cross the road to get to their trash, like on 125 and 136 and 9. And so if your road is changing the way that trash is picked up, they will be reaching out to you within the next week or so via mail to talk about that. They said that in instances like folks who are like, I really don't want to have to go all the way to the end of my long road, if there's a situation where all the people who live on a private road are putting them at the end of their road, opportunities there could be you leave the bin out there and you just bring your bags out there. If you can leave it on the side of your driveway or your road, a bunch of different options. But realistically, individuals need to wait to hear what Casella has suggested for their road, figure out if that's going to work or not, and then have a conversation with them. So there's like 3 or 4 different. They have the back down, is that they call it, the cluster pickups, and then the back and forth pickups that they're doing. And if you send me an email, I'll send you directly the link that has that presentation, and I can send you the link to the YouTube video in the timestamp where that conversation took place. And if you have any other questions after that, I can answer them too.
Thank you. So I'm okay with buying a bag for, well, I mean, we don't generate a lot of trash. We're pretty good about composting everything and recycling as much as possible. I am more than him, but that's okay. So I just want to give that feedback that I'm okay with, you know, purchasing smaller bags or whatever, but we have major concerns about our trash pickup in the middle of the winter and how difficult that is.
Yeah, it's difficult. It's, you know.
And we don't want a bunch of trash barrels sitting down the end of the road, looking horrible either. I mean, you know.
Yeah, and one benefit with this system is if you are friendly with your neighbors and you say, I'm only putting in 1 bag a week, you're only putting in 1 bag a week, since you would now potentially be paying just for the bag, you could just leave the one down there and then you both put it in the same bin, because you're not now needing to say who's putting the tag on it this week. So just an option. Jared, and then I'll go to Jill, and then I'll go to you. Jared?
Jared Maddox, Davis Road. I guess I have a few comments and maybe a brainstorm idea, but if we must go to bags, maybe it'd be a good idea to get both sizes for folks that only need the little ones and others that need the big ones, especially to accommodate for with the 25-pound. Currently, I can put like 3 or 4 bags in my bin, and with 1 tag. Now, you know, doing the math, 4 or 5 bags in the thing, that's going to add up and really piss me off. I'm in favor, if we must go to the bags, I'm in favor of going to August or further to kind of use up the tags to reimburse the sorry for the guy that's got 500, but I think that would be good for everybody to, 'cause we already paid for those tags. Have we had any discussion with like the Freeport dump, collaborating with them? I know nobody wants to put bags of trash in their car, but like just thinking outside the box. You know,
the Auburn down, the Brunswick down.
Yeah, so we haven't talked to them about household trash. Currently, you can bring bulky items to Freeport. You have to pay tonnage there. Any place you have to bring trash, even if we were to come up with an agreement, you would then be paying to throw it out once you get there. And so then we have to ask them if they have capacity to take on, you know, a bunch of extra tonnage. At the same time, the issue arises there is that for a lot of folks, the curbside pickup is really popular. So if we're asking everyone to pay for curbside pickup, and then if you don't want curbside pickup, we are also going to enter a contract with another municipality, pay them money, and then bring trash there too. It becomes an even bigger line. It's something that we can discuss. And so we are in the middle of our Casella contract right now. We have a really great solid waste committee that's been working full of community members to look at options. This is all great stuff to discuss over the next 2 years while we finish out this Casella contract to see if we want to change that in the future. But for right now, we're kind of in the middle of this contract. To the bag thing, so if we go with the pay as you throw bags, the service provider will stock both 13-gallon and 33-gallon bags at all of the locations that we will have them put the bags at. So it's likely going to be like Hannaford, Market Basket, places like that. Those vendors don't charge a fee for storing the bags. They consider them a foot traffic item, that they get the benefit of people coming in to buy their bags. The reason we're including that 33-gallon bag is for examples like you said. If you have 2-3 small kitchen bags that you are using from your kitchen, they can fit inside that 33-gallon bag. So that's a one $3 bag instead of 3 $1.80 bags. So we're trying to give that flexibility. But it would have both bags available from the onset. So I think I then said, Jill, you were next.
Jill Gaston-Gay, Stackpole Road. So I've heard it said a couple of times that if we were to provide X number of bags to the residents, that we would then need to offset that in the budget. And I disagree. Because you already provide X number of tags to the residents, which is offset in the budget. So if you're going to replace the tags with bags, you still could provide X number of bags because it's already budgeted for in the budget. And it's not a guessing game. You already know the tag was being used for a 25-gallon container. It might have started out as pounds, but it's not anymore. It's a 25-gallon container. So providing residents with an equivalent 25 times 26 gallon bags, it's an even trade.
It's not because the contract price has gone up so much. So we're not comparing one contract to last contract. We're in the middle of the contract, but there's a new element of the contract coming into play this year because of the bin system, because of everything. So there's a new budget line for $80,000 for all of this new part of it. So the contract itself has increased this year from last year.
But it's not because of going from tags to bags.
It's because of the automated trash system.
Because of the automated trash system.
And the
So again,
proposal
if you
is to
trade
use the
tags
bags
for
to
bags,
offset that.
But if you trade tags for bags, then those that want to dispose more can help you offset that tonnage increase.
It's not equal though, because the tags cover the whole bin, whereas the bags are just the individual bags. And then at the same, what's that, Josh?
Okay, what is the cost to the town for the bags? For the 26 tags?
It's $3,000 printing cost.
The bags at 26 bags for 1,600 households is over $10,000 a year. Plus, don't forget the most important part. There's not a lot of space at the town office, and it's a lot harder to count out 26 bags than it is to count out 26 tags. So that means that's more work for the staff, which takes them away. Let me
let me finish, right? It takes them away from doing the other things. And in my opinion, they're already, I don't want to say short staffed because they're getting everything done, but they could use help. Stretch, thank you. Frankly, I have been a long opponent of the only being open 4 days a week. I think we should be open 5 days a week. That's a whole bunch of money and more people. And you need that extra person to help count the bags, to store them, to get
No,
them.
you don't. They come in a package of 10, is what the gentleman said. So keep it simple, people. Go with the KISS system.
And
Okay?
so
10 bags.
it's
If you do 10 of the 33 bags.
10 bags
or
is
even
16,500
20 of the 33
bags.
You don't need to pay somebody to count the bags. You just need
So-
somebody to grab a ball.
So if we provide 26 bags to everyone, 10 bags per household is a total of 16,500 bags. If we provide 26 to everyone, it's almost 30,000 bags that we have to store at the town office for people to pick
You
up,
could logically say you're providing the equivalent monetary amount. I'm just saying, you guys. can
which
do
would
this
just be
logically
adding it to the
and
taxes, but if people are asking for physical bags, if we say we're going to increase the taxes $30,000 to credit everyone for those bags, they don't get the physical bag. They still have to go someplace and get the bags. We don't have the space to store 30,000 bags in the town office until people come pick them up. We don't have the space.
I have 2 more questions. One is,
I'll get you right after, sir.
Pownell started with pay as you throw.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And they did away with it.
Mhm.
And it's been asked of you guys several times, why? And how much did their tonnage go up? Have you gotten that answer yet?
No, we haven't had that answer. But to your
Anyone
point,
reach out to them to
there's
ask?
another 300 towns that haven't gotten rid of it. So do you want us to reach out to those and ask them as well?
I'm
Because if
trying-
we're just saying one town didn't like it, but 300 towns do like it, it's not necessarily an apples to apples comparison.
May I try to answer that?
Yeah.
I talked to somebody who's very active on their solid waste committee. There are 2 reasons he said they didn't want to use the pay as you throw. One was they talked about using a camera, and for whatever reason, Pownell doesn't like their garbage film. And then the other one was we're not currently had a limit, so you could throw whatever in your trash you wanted to. And the consensus was we don't want to go to a constraint of having whatever, trying to limit our garbage. We just want to throw stuff away. So they were willing to pay the extra fee. So whereas we've already been limiting that. So
And that's a
what-
perfectly fine answer here is we'd rather pay the extra tonnage and rather pay the extra expense. That's totally a fine answer here too. Sir, you in the back?
Yeah, Mike Boyer, I live on Sheridan Lane. Do we have to buy all, like, a year's worth of bags?
No.
Okay, so what's the problem with the storage at the town office?
'Cause if
Why
we-
can't you buy it by the week or by the month? You buy 1,000 bags.
The storage is if people wanted to be given 26 bags at the start of the year, we would have to order 26 bags for each household and then store them at the town office to hand out. We don't have.
You got a Eureka Hall, you got the police, the fire department, you got the school.
Yeah.
I mean,
Chief would rip my head off if I tried to store 30,000 bags in
I
this
mean,
in
we
this
pay
room.
taxes for this
Mhm.
building.
Mhm.
We can probably, I pay or two, trash out, send out some trash bags.
The challenge is the.
You can put you can all rental out here and put it and give it to them.
Yeah, the challenge is the logistics of that checking system, that handing those out. The Eureka Hall gets rented out multiple times a week. If we have to ask the Girl Scouts to move around that, there's just some challenges there that we don't feel like we can
No, there's no
accommodate.
logistic challenge of just figuring it out.
Yeah, we've thought about all of these options and we just don't feel like it's the right approach. But I appreciate the feedback and we can consider it.
At the town office and let everybody come in and say, oh, you gotta, have our dedicated room just for bags.
No, the approach right now would be to just have them sold at the local vendors that are willing to carry them, which is most of them.
whatever.
Yeah, and so that's the approach now. If that approach happens, then those vendors working with Waste Zero make sure that the bags are flowing through at a rate that is adequate for people to come and pick them up. the added challenge is when you want a bulk supply up front. What they find is most people come in, buy a roll or two of 10 bags at a time and then go. So even at the store, they don't stock 30,000 bags. They're stocking what they see as generally a week's worth of flow of bags for each municipality. And so that's why we are moving away from the idea of providing all the bags up front. Totally understand that feedback though.
And
But some people have asked for 26 bags up front. And so if we were to say that, we would then have to buy all those and hand them over at the beginning of the year, like we do our tags and stuff like that.
And
I hear you.
But just to go back to your question about where the bags would be, because also people are not frequenting the town office as much, but they do go to Hannaford, they do go to Shaw's, they do go to Get to Go, or wherever it might be. We thought it was easier, or it could be easier for residents to pick up as they're getting their groceries, because right now Brunswick and other towns pick up just before they're going to check out. They pick up the bags on their way out for checkout. So yeah, we just thought it seems easier that way.
No
So
problem. I was under the assumption that it was gonna be at the.
Oh, no, yeah.
And you guys were trying to figure out space.
No, I'm sorry about that. I could have clarified a little bit more. Todd?
Yeah, Todd Williams, Stackpole Road. A couple things. It'd probably be a good incentive to give out trash bags at town meeting.
That's where we give out our tags.
Except how do you carry them and bring them?
Come to town meeting.
Only place you can go.
You mean, if you attend, you get a free box of bags.
It has to come to town meeting.
Put them next to the Girl Scout cookies.
Also, another thing, I understood that Casella was buying the trash cans and they were gonna own the trash cans. Why are we paying for them?
The bin management. So the logistics around bin management, the replacement.
Way to say you're paying for it.
Why don't they just tell us we're paying for them?
It's built into, so we don't own the bins.
But we're paying for them.
Right, we also pay for the trash pickup, we pay for the service too, it's part of their business model. I don't manage Casella's business model, so I don't know how much those bags cost them versus, for the management versus the purchase. 26, so 3,500 bins probably does add up to quite a bit of money. And then that cost is then carried year to year, so if they build in their contract that every year through the rest of our contract, it helps offset the cost of that initial investment. Pretty common for when you get a service from a business, they charge you for the product they're providing. So, sir?
I know the reason Pownell ditched it was it was hard to enforce without spending extra money and time. So the trash guy doesn't care what bag you use, the town gets the video, the town that has to go to the video.
No.
Is what
So
they were told me.
the video system has artificial intelligence built into it, so it tracks who's not following the bag rules and who is. We don't have the video system built into our contract.
Right. No, I
That would be an
understand.
extra expense.
Right, no, I
Yeah.
understand that. So how are we gonna enforcement? The enforcement's going on. We already said the town employees are pretty thin. Are we gonna send Jessica out on a lunch hour to look at people's bins?
No, so there's multiple different companies that cover the bags. The company we work with provides spot enforcement where it's part of their contract. They follow the trash truck, and they determine the compliance rate. And then they can help us figure out if there is an issue and we need to look into a future way to mitigate that.
Contract with them.
It's part of the bag contract.
Part of the bag
Yeah.
contract, and the contract is 25 cents a bag.
That's the cost that they carry over to us, 25 cents a
What's the
bag.
contract cost?
Well, when we buy the bags, that's what
Okay,
pays
that's
for it.
built
Yeah,
into the
yeah.
price. Okay.
Can I?
Good question, though.
I made a mistake when I said it was $10,000 for the 26 bags. For 1,500 homes at 26 bags, at $1.80 bag, it's actually $70,000.
Maybe give the people the option of buying the cost.
Yeah,
The
so
first 26.
we talked about that, and so when we had the guy come in here, he said, "You set the price," and I said, "Well, there's got to be a floor. Like you can't give us the bags for nothing." And he said their floor is 25 cents. At 25 cents, it generates zero revenue for the town, but it covers the expense of the bags. So when we looked at, based off of Durham's tonnage and some analysis of what and this is on our website, so if you email me, I'll follow up with you. When we looked at the tonnage and all of that, we said, well, at $1.80 a bag for small bags, that's going to generate enough revenue to offset the new increase in the system, so about $80,000, and offset the loss of the tags for the tag revenue, which is about $30,000. And so we felt that rather than trying to make a profit, that the best price point would just be to offset the new contract and offset the lost revenue from the tags and then break even. If we wanted to increase revenue, we could say, let's charge $2, $3 a bag. That's not what we wanted to do. We wanted to keep it as lean as possible. And so that's where we came to that $1.80
What's the
price
town
point.
price for the 33-gallon bag? Do you know?
$3.
$3.
It's like $3.20. Oh no, the town price?
Yeah.
I didn't ask him to break out the bag prices, 25 cents versus the small or the big. When I asked him what the bag price was,
38 cents.
sorry, 38 cents. We do have it. Sorry. And the way we price the bags is it's not supposed to be like, oh, if you go with the big bag, you get a volume discount. It's trying to be apples to apples just for a preference, because we don't want this to seem like, hey, we're trying to generate $500,000 in revenue by punishing everyone for getting trash. This is just to try to break even on the new contract.
And what's the enforcement if you get bagged for not using the right bag?
So the drivers get out, they put a sticker on the top of the bin, and then they know that that's a bin that they need to skip next time they come around. Also, the drivers do have a camera that they see the trash going in. So Durham will have a unique bag. If our bags blaze orange and they see a bunch of black bags going in, they note that that house is not in compliance, and they start skipping houses if people aren't in compliance. If compliance becomes a major issue, then towns have added the AI component, which costs $20,000 a year, which we want to avoid. He said that their spot checks where they follow people, the trucks around. He said that they find that generally most citizens are compliant with the system. Yeah. The people cutting their tags in half, they might not be compliant because they aren't already, right. But they said that generally most people follow the system. Yeah. So I'm going to get you. Right in the back. Sorry.
Harry, Owen, Ada Drive. I realize that the bins are not up for debate anymore, right? It's a done deal.
Yeah.
But like, how many bins do you suppose will be on 136 in the road when people are, even not in the winter, but the winter in the plow trucks? Like, I don't know. Honestly, how many people actually use cans now? Maybe it's already an issue. I don't know.
I live on 125. The vast majority is bins already at the end of the roads. And so that's we anticipate it's going to be a similar amount. There are a handful of people who just throw bags out. I remind people that if you're throwing just bags out, you're actually supposed to put a tag on each bag. And so that's actually $3 a bag at that point. And that's not, we're having some compliance issues there because of misunderstanding. But generally speaking, it's going to be the same bin issue or bin numbers, I would imagine, that we have now. Not everyone puts trash out every week, those sorts of things. But I had not put a ton of thought into how people like to throw their trash out. And then we started the system and I started cruising around, and it's the standard way most people throw out trash.
They have to be lined in a way because
the
mechanics of the thing.
Yeah, and that's the nice thing about this. Yeah. The nice thing about this new system is because it's an automatic arm, they're now allowing for bins to be on either side of 136, 125, and Route 9. So you can put them at the end of your driveway and have them in your driveway as opposed to the side of the road. So like on 125, I have to put mine in the bank on the other side of the road because it's only one pickup route. And so I have to cross every day. A lot of times I shovel out the bank if I want a little bit more space. Whereas now on that road, people be able to just put on whichever side they have more space on. So if they're already having their driveway plowed, already having their driveway shoveled, they can go right in the driveway after they leave for the morning. So it opens up some options to try, because that was another concern is we were worrying about safety. And we feel that this creates a safer system for bins than before. All right, I'm trying to track the hands. Donna, I think you were next.
Well, halfway through.
Oh, Donna, I know your name, but everyone else needs to hear your name.
Donna, Old Brunswick Road, Dunford. There you go. Sorry. If we're halfway through a contract, what good's a contract?
So this was built into the contract, and we knew about it when we signed it. And we talked about that at the town meeting. I think it was 2023 or 2024. It was the only option. It was 2024. It was built in the contract that they said we're entering this contract and we're ordering a truck. So partway through the contract, the expense will increase to accommodate automatic pickup. This was expected. They got the truck a few months earlier than we expected. We thought it might happen later, but it was built into the contract.
There was actually a conversation with them about how can we not do this?
And they said, if you don't want automated pickup, we're not interested in providing the service, and then we'd be without curbside pickup. So, yes.
So, I'm sorry to oversimplify it, but this is the best way for me to, former kindergarten teacher, right?
Former kindergartner, so
Yeah,
perfect.
there you go. So, prepaid, like, we get our tax bill.
Mhm.
I've paid my tax bill.
Mhm.
And so I am basically paying for fiscal 2026, 2027 trash, okay?
Mhm.
And just for simplification purposes, let's just say the contract is $50,000, right?
Mhm.
So then you're selling trash tags throughout the year and so
Mhm.
forth, and you're saying that you're recouping revenue, right?
Mhm.
So what are you doing with that revenue? Is it going towards next year's fiscal 2027 trash line, or is it going off to some general fund?
Yeah, so I can answer that really easily. So all revenue is considered revenue. It goes into one revenue fund. But what happens is right now when we budget all of our expenses. We say this is what it costs to run the town. This is what it costs to pay the school bill, the county, all that sort of stuff. And then we look at our revenues. So this is how much we get from property, permits for buildings. This is how much we get for car registrations. And then this goes now into a revenue line. We'll say, and we anticipate $120,000 revenue from bag. We subtract all of our revenue from our expenses, and then we set the mill rate based off of the difference. Unfortunately, our revenue doesn't cover all of our expenses, so that's where the tax rate comes from. If we were to remove the bags from the revenue line, and that we anticipate that would be a loss of about $120,000. That means that when we go to set the tax rate, we have to raise an extra $120,000. Right now, the first read through the budget, $100,000 is about 1% increase. So if we don't do bags, that's an extra 1% that we have to raise. Totally an option if people would prefer to do that. But right now, this is what we're looking at.
So I just want to make sure that I am understanding here. So technically, we're not, if we sell the bags, we're not taking that income, generated income off of the tax base of what we pay for next year's trash collection. We could be paying for the 19% increase on administrative costs.
No, so that money that is generated in revenue is immediately calculated into our current expenses, which decreases the need to raise taxes. So the number we came up with is saying if trash is going up $120,000, let's set the trash bag line at $120,000 to functionally offset that. Now, does the dollar you spend for the trash bag go into the trash company's hands, or does it go into the electrical company's hands? We don't track that dollar for dollar, but it's one thing that we just use to give us an idea of what we want. And that's why we came up with a $1.80 line, because we didn't want to say we're going to use this trash tag to generate $300,000 of income, even though the trash is only going up by $120,000, and then we're going to take all that surplus and use it on other things. So we're trying to keep that as low as possible.
In your scenario, if it was $50,000 in expenses and $10,000 in revenue,
Right.
we'd be paying the $60,000 expenses if you got rid of the bags. So it comes out of everybody or the people who use them.
No,
So-
understood, but it doesn't make sense in terms of your fiscal line item for budget for this year, and we're anticipating that budget. Like let's even make it even smaller. I know that every year I spend about $5,000 ballpark, in oil. I know that I need to raise that money for next year's oil line, right? But the problem is that, so for the $30,000 that you're saying that we're losing in revenue, those are the people who are buying the extra tags, not the ones who are a lot of them, right? So if you're doing that, you are looking at the situation of, we take in $120,000, you're trying to make up that difference and so forth. We've already paid for it.
No, because that $120,000 is money that's not taxed. That $120,000 is being paid in the future. but we're not taxing you for it now. That money's coming from the bag sales or the tax.
That's what I was
Yeah.
wondering.
Right,
Where
so-
is it? Is it being applied to that?
That's, it's being applied to the costs, but it's not through taxes, it's through the revenue stream from selling the bags and tags.
And so
which is
we-
why it's
we-
not a double
but we-
taxation.
The way our accounting works is we don't have one account that's just for trash, one account that's just for electricity. We have our general funds, and then we allocate things out of that general fund to go towards the expensing. It's what we've moved to a few years ago. It's much better streamlined processing because then you limit your amount of accounts and all that sort of stuff. But just a quick note on the tags. So right now, when we say free tags, those 26 tags that are given free also represent an opportunity cost. So if we were to say we're not doing free tags and we now are selling tags, that's $128,700 worth of tags that we are building into our budget right now. So that's the opportunity cost. So we already, as a community, incur the cost of the free tags. This is just now helping account for that in the system. So think of it as you're paying the fee for the general services, and now we're just trying to make it so more of the fee that covers the actual tonnage and pickup comes from the individuals based off of how much they create rather than the valuation of their home.
I understand that. You keep saying free tags. They're not free. We pay for them.
No, I'm saying they're not free. I'm saying that the opportunity cost on the tags is $128,700 because we build in 26 tags to each household. There's about 1,650 households, about $78 per house. So it's about $128,700 of revenue that is given up to give the tags as part of your
You've
bill.
already paid for them.
Yeah, and so what
As a
I'm saying
tax
is the tags is also an example of opportunity cost too, because by not charging for any tag for the first 26 tags right now, that's a lost revenue opportunity of 128,000.
And that's where we're having the
Where's Steve?
disconnect is
Yeah,
that
I'll
we
get you
have
next
already
week.
paid for those 26 tags.
Mhm.
But not now. Going in the future, you're not gonna have paid for those. You're gonna be only paying for them as you use the bags. That's how the system works.
So, but what you are saying is that our trash total is increasing by 120,000 over what we currently pay, okay? When you do that, the current environment as taxpayers is we are paying for that as taxpayers, which has always included, not always, I take that back. When I first moved to Durham, we didn't have trash tax. We had a bunch of trash on the side of the road. And so the problem is that, so for those tags, those 26 tags that people think are free are not free. You've already paid for them as part of your taxes. And if you take those tags away and you're now saying to those people, everybody has to buy tags. Bags, tags, all same thing, is that I understand the whole piece of, those people who are using more trash. The moms who have the babies or the elderly who are using the pens. You have the perceived perception that we're only charging those people who generate more charge. No, that's not true. We all paid the collective tax base. And now you're gonna pay, and this is what I keep saying, double taxation. I understand we're not taxing it, but I'm gonna tack that $120,000 onto your tax bill.
We're already taxing on the opportunity cost of bags. So that's already tags. That's already happening. This is no different. It's the exact same as tags. It's just a bag instead of a tag. So it's the same concept. Because the cost has increased. And so if we want the 26, we can do that. We're just going to have to absorb the new trash costs for sure. So if you don't want to incur cost at the bin, we have to raise the tax line. We have to raise an additional $120,000 for trash, which is totally an option. You get rid of your tags, but your taxes go up. And so that's what we're talking about here. Sir, sorry about the way.
Steve, Deerville Road. So you kind of helped me understand that a little better, but it seems like the disconnect I'm having, and she helped me get here. We go from 0 to 26. I understand there's more cost for bags. You said it like 12 times. So I think there should be something in between, right? I mean, if we know that there's a certain amount that we're currently paying for, however we want to put the version. There's 26 current tags that has an inherent value.
Mhm.
What's that value in bags? Is it 10? Is it 9? We should get those.
Yeah. So to your point, to essentially say there should be some value received on the taxpayers to cover this. We can achieve that by setting the bag price as low as possible to offset that expense. So the value is we're not trying to generate any extra revenue off the bags. We're just trying to offset that. As opposed to saying, hey, this is I mean, because some of the scenarios are presented as, hey, you could generate $300,000 worth of revenue off bags if you charge $3 a bag. And we said, no, we want to make sure that this isn't adding that expense to people, that we're coming in as tight as we can. So I think that's where we're trying to give that credit. And then the other thing we've talked about just tonight is as we transition, if we choose to go with bags, if we were to transition from tags to bags, we could do like a 5-month gap to say there's no fee to that helps accommodate your tags that you've already bought. You know, I imagine people are going to start throwing everything that they can in that bin at that time, but that's where we're trying to do it. Because like we all pay taxes too. We all throw trash away too. Up until 8 weeks ago, I was a 1 bag a month, and I'm now 2 bags of diapers a week, let alone my normal trash. So I totally get it. We all get it. We just think that this is the best way to shift that, to give the fixed income a little bit more control, and then still credit people by setting that bag price as low as possible to cover the difference. Does that answer your question at all?
I think it does.
It's a lot of moving parts, and we understand that.
The way I explain it to my wife is you just change the way you're paying for it. Instead of paying for those 26 tags and taxes, I'm just buying the bags myself.
I think,
But there's no, I'm sorry, Debbie, but there's no, the taxpayer doesn't see the shift, right?
Right.
To put it in round numbers or flat numbers, it doesn't go like, okay, it was $10,000 before, and now we're gonna pay for the bag, so you're gonna pay $8,000, but you're gonna pay for the bags.
Totally, like you said, the key statement there is seeing the shift. So right now, until the last few weeks, I don't think there was a lot of people thinking what percentage of my trash bill is part of my tax bill and stuff like that.
Sure.
By opening this up and saying, let's be super transparent and figure out what the process is, all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, I do technically, because I've seen the narrative change from free bags to, well, they're not really free bags. I am paying them. I just hadn't really thought about what that cost me before or what the opportunity was.
Right.
And so when we see all we're playing with our cards on the table face up right now. It's like, oh, there is some elements that we hadn't thought about now. And so now we have to kind of compartmentalize, right? What was this before? What was it now? We're all probably trying to say, all right, this is better for my house now, hold now or not. This is just us trying to be more transparent. And in that process, I think what we learned is that there was a lot of just like, not even thinking about it. Like the trash comes, I get my tags, it's not a big deal. And this just adds that more information for everyone to kind of mull over.
you know, maybe there's an
I'll get
option to
you
think
next.
about instead of giving every resident free bags or, you know, similar to what we do today for tags is just delay the implementation of the bag requirement to the 4th month of every year or something like that. So,
Mm-hmm. And
you know, you'd have a communication issue you'd have to deal with, but
and that
is
to your
another
point,
option.
Debbie, is that if people are saying, I don't want to see this start till January 1, we can do that too. Now we'll have to come up with that in the budget. We'll have to decrease anything we do, we would decrease our revenue line on bags from, let's say, 120,000 down to 60,000 if we're not going to start till mid-year. And so the money is still coming out of your pocket. It's coming out of the pocket in the tax bill as opposed to weekly when you pick up trash bags. And so, but that's a conversation we're here to hear that sort of input tonight.
And I think you've said
Sorry.
in the past that 3% of everyone's taxes roughly are going.
3.5% roughly, closer to 4% of everyone's tax of our expenses is the trash contract. That's going to be going up to about 5% with the new trash contract. So I had you as your hand next.
Thank you. Krista Dayton, Hollowell Road. One, I just want to say that if we do move to the bags, what about the people who like, do not have access to like going out?
Mm-hmm.
You know, people who are homebound
Mhm.
and things like that. Maybe they have home health or something like that who comes in. I'm sure there are people around. Are they going to be able to call someone to get these bags delivered to their house? Are they going to be able to get it on like a
Yeah.
Hannaford to go order or something
Yes,
like that?
yes. So
Those can get included with Hannaford, Shaw's, Market Basket, if we do Get and Go. All of the normal supermarkets are already carriers of bags for other towns, and so that would just be an add-on when they order their groceries, you add on.
Okay.
So like when
Or
you
if someone's
do-
picking groceries up
Right.
for
Yeah, I
them,
just
yeah.
worry about, there are people who cannot.
Oh,
Right, like
100%, yeah.
Instacart or whatever that orders directly from those supermarkets, it's
Okay.
just like getting bananas.
Okay.
Mhm.
And my next question is, I recycle a lot and I think that the bags is not a bad idea as far as like encouraging people to reduce the waste. But can you get more than one recycle can or is it
Yeah.
only one?
So that's a question we asked Casella, and they were saying that same thing as the smaller bins. They asked that people try it, the 65-gallon bin, and they said if you find that you're a chronic recycler, which is a good thing, like me,
We just, we go through a ton of boxes.
yeah, the Amazon online purchases, they said if you find that it's always need more, you can call them and request a second bin. It's supposed to be built into our contract and whatnot, but they just asked that, they said, try the bins, let us know if it's an issue, I mean, because especially I would think about the same thing around holidays when you got all the boxes and stuff like that.
Right.
But there's some flexibility there.
So one of the things also just to note with the recycling bins, just like with the trash bins, because of the automated arm,
Yeah.
everything has to be closed. So you
Mhm.
cannot leave it open. So it just, and all of the information is going to be attached to the bins when they are dropped off to every household. So if there are questions, we and Casella encourage everybody to sign up for the app and reach out to them. They can answer whatever.
And part of the reason I feel that Casella and other trash companies have moved towards this system is because people have taken advantage of the past of, I'm just going to pile a bunch of boxes and all that stuff on the side of the road, and then those folks are out there breaking them down, putting them in there, and I mean, Casella was saying that in terms of like their employees, they usually have to use like day laborers to stand on the back of the truck because they can't retain anyone because it's not something that folks are wanting to do, and part of it is, if the trash that's been put out, the bags are ripped, all that sort of stuff, people just don't want to do it. And so that's part of the reason why Casella said, try the 65-gallon bin. We'll ask that you break your boxes down to maximize all that sort of stuff. If that's still not enough, reach out. Each individual through either the app, email, or phone, or we could help facilitate it, can reach out to Casella and say, it's been 3 weeks, I still need more recycled capacity, and that's fine too.
I just want to say thank you, guys.
Ma'am, you right there?
Yeah, Patty Smith on Raindale Road.
Thanks.
I have
Thank you.
probably a funny question, that you might have covered in a previous meeting. What do we do with our old bins? I've got two big, large rolling bins. What am I gonna do with them?
Yeah. So that's one thing that we've heard a lot of. I already own bins. What do I got to do with them? That's going to be up to each individual. Casella's not going to buy the bin. If it's plastic, probably can break it down and put it in the Casella bin to get it recycled if you'd like.
I can't lift my bins.
Yeah.
These
are heavy
duty. They're on wheels.
Yeah, and so for each person, for each person who already has bins, it's going to be a household decision on what do I do with my bin? Do I sell it? Do I get rid of it? Those sorts of things.
My
And
mom went up said, don't buy.
yeah. All right, so I had a hand back there.
I've got three back here that you haven't noticed. That's
Yeah.
why my hand is raised.
Sorry, Jill, I'm pretty short. It's hard for me to
That's
see
why I
past the
wanted to
first
let you
row.
know.
So we'll do all the back row. Sir.
Harry Mooney, Old Brunswick Road. Just very quickly on the cardboard, my wife puts a lot of money in Jeff Bezos' pocket.
Yes.
So we have a lot of boxes, we break them down, we make them flat, so on and so forth. So going forward, we'll have to break those boxes down further and jam them into a bin somewhere and make sure we can get the lid down.
How do you get rid of them now?
What I do now is I take every box, I cut them up to fairly small pieces, I make sure they're flat, and I stick that out with the recycle.
So what size bin do you put them in currently?
I don't put the
Oh,
cardboard
so yeah, you will have to put it in a bin. And so you'll just have to break it down to a size that can fit within the 65-gallon bin. And so did you two have questions as well back there?
Oh, I was just gonna say that at
Name.
Shaw's, we sell Pownell and Yarmouth bags, and they come in a roll of, I think it's 20.
Mhm.
And they're all color coded. Yarmouth is blue and Pownell, I think, is orange. So I'm sure we'll get them.
And could I get your name and road, please, ma'am?
Lonnie Bowen, Bowen Road.
Okay, perfect. And you, ma'am?
Yeah, what happens if there's a gully on each side of your driveway, it's a narrow driveway?
Mhm.
And I can't put it across the street because they're the same road.
What road do you?
136, Smith.
Yeah, and so with 136, there's an option to put it. We're going to be an option to put it on either side. If your driveway has a gully on it, you can put it on the curb of the road, which is what a lot of folks on 136 are already doing.
At a yellow line?
No, by the white, not on the yellow line. The white line. Yeah, we're gonna have a little bit of a Frogger scenario on the yellow line. So. Yeah, and that's a challenge that we've heard about right now. The new bins, it's gonna be the same challenge with snow as the old bins. In for some, if it's a really bad snowstorm, that might be Casella saying we're canceling pickup for the day. If they are still picking up and you have the ability to have the end of your driveway plowed or shoveled, you can put the bins there. If you're gonna have to wait a week because the bins can't go out because it's a nonstop snowstorms, the plows are running all day, and for some reason Casella's still picking up, there's gonna have to be a little bit of flexibility there. So it's gonna be a storm by storm basis.
I have a long, narrow driveway,
Mhm.
take it all the way down, not as long as yours.
Mhm.
A long, narrow driveway, so that if they're not gonna deliver that day, then I ain't gonna bring it back.
Would you be able to put them in the mouth of your driveway at the end of your driveway?
Yeah, unless my snowman goes by.
Yeah.
He flies in the driveway.
Yeah, and so do you put bins out now?
Yeah.
Okay.
I only have to use one.
Yeah. And so you would still only have to use one if you're just putting trash out. And I would say the same system you use now would still be available to you with the new bin. And you have the added benefit of also being able to choose either side of the road. Right here? Yes.
Hey, Padra, when your proposal, you said you're getting charged 25 cents per bag?
That's the town's cost. That's what
Cost is 25 cents a bag for a small bag, and you want to charge $1.80 to us, right?
So the cost to produce the bag and use the service is 25 cents per bag. Yes.
Right, okay, and you're proposing $1.80 per
Mhm.
bag. And then for the larger bags, you said it was 38 cents a bag?
I think
and you
38.
wanna charge
Yeah.
us $3.
I think it's 320.
I'm not good at
think.
math in my head.
Sorry, $3. Yeah.
Are you charging the same percentage markup on?
I'd have to
those
do the
sizes.
math, but I think it's supposed to be comparable. It's not trying to like make a better financial deal with either bag.
And I think it was taking into consideration how much weight those bags could handle.
I don't think it
I
had to
don't
do
know.
with weight.
The bags are all made of the same material, no
Mhm.
matter the size.
Yeah.
No, I meant how much tonnage the bag could hold.
So yeah. So the
I'm just
waste.
wondering if
Yeah.
I can fit 3 bags into one large one, or,
Mhm.
okay, so then the large one does make more sense.
And that's going to be what preference to each individual. The large one probably does make more sense, but for some people they don't want to use a larger bag, and so we need to make sure that there's multiple options. Yeah, ma'am.
I'm Carol from Royal Fur Road. When you figured out how much it was going to be per bag, you didn't use the 25 cents. You used $1.80.
Yes. And so what we did was we said
So if you was to give out the free 26, you should base that on 25 cents a bag.
that's what it would cost for us to buy the bags.
Right.
But then there's the loss revenue which we would have to offset.
Well, when I thought you was making the revenue on the people that had to buy extras.
But if we give the bags away, the amount of
25 cents.
if we give the bags away,
Mhm.
that is a lost that's lost bags per household. It works out to a large number of lost revenue, and then we would have to offset that through more taxes.
So I was talking to somebody that I know, and they don't use our trash system at all. And so they're helping to subsidize your trash and my trash, but they don't, I mean, he doesn't sell his tags, but he could. And if he sold them for $2.50 and I say 50 cents a tag,
I was
the
just
town's
saying the
losing out. But
figuration of the
Mhm.
free tags are only, it should be 25 cents times what
Yeah.
you said for.
That would be what it physically costs us
Right.
to buy them. But then you have anything that is not charged for is a lost revenue, and then we
Mhm.
have to make up for that in taxes. So if we had the logistics and all that sort of stuff, and we said everyone gets 10 free bags, and it costs us $2.50 for those 10 free bags, that represents a lost revenue of $180. Our contract price has gone up, and so we have to make that money up. And if we don't have that revenue, the only other way we have to make up money is raise and appropriate taxes. And so that's would be the lost revenue. Sir?
Got a couple of questions.
Yeah.
Quick ones. What's your revenue on recycling? Do you make any money on recycling?
No, the recycling has zero sort, so there's no bags.
My second one is the bag. You said you got one contractor.
Mhm.
Bid. You can't get other contractors to bid?
There's only a couple companies that do it in New England, and this is the one that we went with.
Gotten any samples of the bags yet?
We haven't physically held the bags, no.
I would
Some of us
definitely.
have.
Oh, sorry, I haven't.
Yeah, so I mean, because you can go and check out the bags at Hannaford or Shaw's, or people who live in Brunswick have the bags, so.
Same bag?
As what we are getting.
As
right?
Brunswick,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
Brunswick is.
So if you go to Hannaford and you want to go check out the bag, just look at Brunswick's bag. Jared?
For clarification, did you say that they're planning on, so on Davis Road, everyone puts it on one side of the road? So now, did you say that they're gonna go up and down?
It's gonna depend on the road. So Casella went out and they drove routes. They figured it all out. And what they've told us is that if your road is changing, they will be in contact within the next couple weeks to let you know. If you don't hear anything, your roads will remain the same. So
I was thinking of, be crazy if they just said they're gonna drive up and down every single road.
no,
Doubling their.
yeah, no, they can't do that because it would be a even longer process. So I thought I had another hand over here, and then I can come back to you. Nope. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, two things here real quick. The bins and the automatic, I know that is a part of it, but it's kind of like a budgetary type of thing. I am pretty positive that they're not gently placing those bins down. And when people keep saying on the side of 136, I'm thinking more along the lines of in 136. How do those get replaced? Because I don't know how many people do remember the green recycling bins that we had that lasted 27 days.
Yeah. So Casella owns the bins. So Casella has a vested interest in not breaking the bin. Because if your bin is broken, you either call, email, or use the app to alert Casella and they come replace the bin at no additional cost. So because they own them, they baby them a little bit more than they probably would if we own them. Because at least my bin, I usually gets thrown into the woods every day when I got to go pick it up anyways.
Yeah.
But now they have incentive. Also, these bins are very heavy duty.
Yeah.
So they're more commercial grade.
They're gonna
Yeah.
crack better in the freezing cold.
So Casella has a fully functional business that utilizes these across dozens of municipalities. I'm sure that they have an attrition rate that they have built into their business model.
Yeah.
But I imagine that they try to provide it the best because they are the ones who own the bin. So they are the one who is at loss if the bins break.
And then I had a second part of the same question because I know that I'm sucking up a lot of time here.
That's all right.
But the whole thing about that I saw about the line item of the bulky waste is being removed.
No.
So real quick,
In 2027.
the current budget does not have bulky waste in it. This current budget is just a draft. We are going to be reviewing the budget, a really quick high level review tonight, and then next meeting is where we're going to make suggestions on either adding or subtracting elements of the budget. Right now, the draft is missing has bulky waste not in it, but that's going to be up for discussion at a future meeting.
So what were those numbers on that chart?
That showed it showed last year's budgeted line for bulky waste,
Right.
and it shows that this year there's not a budget for bulky waste.
Right, so in other words, if there's not a budget for bulky waste, does that mean that there is no bulky waste?
The current draft of the budget shows no bulky waste expenditures for this year, but we haven't finalized the budget. We haven't even fully gone through each line item, so we can add that in, or we can choose to not have bulky waste.
I think we went to town meeting recently without it in, and then it got put back in at town meeting.
It's fluctuated year to year, but
So
this
it's-
current draft, because we were trying to keep, when we instructed the town manager to prepare the first draft of the budget for us, we asked for him to include just the needs, not the wants. That was pulled out of it for the draft. That's a want. If we choose to spend money on that want, we can add that back in. Currently, it's not in there, but
Taxpayers or just the board?
the taxpayers, I mean, we're also taxpayers, so we're
You know
one
what
of
I mean,
one of 5,000. But no, when we as a board develop our budget, we as a board can choose whether we want to add that in or take that out. Public comment's always available, and then the budget's gonna be reviewed every meeting for the next 3 meetings. It'll go to the budget committee, then it'll come back to us, be reviewed again, and then it'll go there. So there's about 5 or 6 meetings where this is gonna be discussed just on the board side, not even the budget committee side, so.
Okay, thank you.
Catherine.
Part of, Catherine Curtis from Korean Drive, and part of the solid waste committee, we met last night, so I'm glad this came up. Because we wanted to encourage the board to put the bulky waste back in.
Mhm.
Partly because some of our work is gonna be to increase composting, do some of the more clothing drives like they did weeks ago at the Eureka. We're gonna work to get our tonnage down. We're really gonna work to get our tonnage down. And part of the bulky waste system is a way to get that tonnage down. Because somebody may hang on to that cinder block they have at home, instead of putting it in the bin, they're gonna get the bulky waste.
Mhm.
There's a terrible.
Well, thank you for the feedback. I don't want to go too far into budget lines that aren't related to pay as you throw, because we'll be here all night, because that's a 4 or 5 meeting endeavor to begin with. But if you have those concerns about bulky waste, whether you want it in or not, all of our budget meetings are open to public. We're doing our best to increase communication through social media, through email, and all that sort of stuff. Please give us that feedback, because we're just trying to develop the budget that you all want.
It does relate to pay as you throw, because the people hold on to things because they can't throw it into their garbage cans. Or they do throw it into their garbage cans, but because it's gonna take up a 13-gallon $1.80 bag, now they're gonna hold on to it till bulky waste, but if there is no bulky waste in the budget line item, it's like, what do you do with it now? Oh, you can go to Auburn. Go to Auburn, unless you're homebound.
Mr. Chair, I think in
Then you gotta look.
in the interest of time, I think you've answered the question on bulky waste.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. Thank you for the feedback, though. Totally hear your point. Do we have any other questions about the pay-as-you-go system? Sorry, pay-as-you-throw system.
Where's it go from here now?
So
We heard all the comments. How do you guys come into a decision?
yeah, so that's our was scheduled for us to do tonight, was to take into consideration all the written comment we've heard, all the feedback we received from people via email, social media, phone calls, angry letters, all those sorts of things. Everything we've received here tonight. Now tonight we have to make the decision as to what we want to do. We could also table it if we feel like we can put it down the road. We were inclined to make a decision tonight because that has an impact on the budget. So if we vote to table it, we now don't know what to budget for or what to budget for revenues or anything like that. So most likely we're going to have a discussion tonight after we've received all this feedback and make a vote.
Okay.
So before I close, if folks want to just say, this is your last chance. If you don't want it, if you want it, now's the time to let us know. There's been a lot of really great questions asked, and we can budget for either or. So does anyone have any other comments on that?
I want the pay as you throw, because when you go up to 65 gallons, there's gonna be a lot more trash that people are gonna put out. And I think we need to try and offset that, as much as it's a TIA, I think it will offset it.
Ron Perry, pay as you go, I think it's the most equitable way to process this.
GD 60 at Rhindale Road. I have been in Durham for a number of years, and I remember prior to doing all this and all the amount of crap that was on the side of the road or people were burning. I just think it's going to cause more headaches than it's worth.
What is? Are you in favor of paying you?
No.
As you throw? Oh, you're not. Okay.
I think that you're going to find people who are avoiding that cost because they can't fit it in their household budget. They've been throwing four bags worth of garbage into their can. So now they're gonna go back to what it was. They're burning it in their backyard in a can. They're burying it on somebody's property.
Any other feedback, Donna?
I talked, Donna told Brunswick where the Kentucky Church, I'll get there. Anyway, I've talked to quite a few, I've talked to 4 other people who have talked to a lot of people, and they're like me, they got a dumpster. I've got all my neighbors throwing in the dumpster, they give me $10 a month, I'm happy, it pays for the bin, there you go. I don't, options, but I don't, yeah, I pay your taxes. So, but, I mean.
So another option is swing by Donna's and throw it in her dumpster.
I'm gonna give you some money.
Did you say what that address was?
No, seriously, I've been
That's
curious to
interesting.
see how much garbage went in the Getting Goes dumpster.
Yeah.
I can tell you a lot goes into the parks.
Yeah.
Because I clean them.
No, I haven't seen you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Alan, I'll get you after, but behind the gentleman behind.
Barrington Day Road, I'm always looking at the bottom line and I'm looking for the revenues to come in to offset the expense. And I'm definitely in favor of the pay as you throw. For myself right now, granted, I'm retired and it's just the two of us. And I probably use one kitchen bag a week. And what I do, I put that into a larger container. So I can go a couple of weeks at least before I take my trash out. I'm always recycling. But right now, if I'm going to a 65 gallon, I'm gonna be lucky if I go out once a month.
Yeah.
So far as I'm concerned, it will be cheaper for me.
I hope you don't have capital.
I do not.
Thank you, Alan. Sir?
The comment I want to make is that, I would be also in favor, but I think it feels like, for me, and it sounds like some other people have said, that it just feels like there's still a little inequity, and you talked about some other options that fill that in, and I think if that happened, whether it was a delayed period of time or a reduced number of bags, I think you'd feel like an equity was gained back, and I think you'd have a better favor. But ultimately, I'm saying I'm in favor of it.
I'm gonna go here and then the back row.
Rod Stimson, Old Road, Emerson Road. And I'm in favor for pay as you go. I think it's, if you use it, you pay for it. I mean, how can it be any simpler? Trying to overthink this sometimes.
Should put this passion in the school budget question, you know?
Yeah, that was my suggestion. Let's take this passion, put it in everything else too, you know? Sir?
I've lived in this town a number of years myself, and the only constant is change. And the trash industry is changing, the automated trucks, the technological marvel, but it's the wave of the future. And I think there's no getting around it. I do see my trash costs going up. I too am retired, but I managed to generate a good amount of trash, as a lot of younger families do. And now, instead of $3 a can, I'm paying X amount of dollars a bag per bag that I'm putting in this can that used to cost me $3. It's just the way of it. But I think in terms of, it's all about compromise. You gotta give and take a little all the time, and I don't always like it, but I think in this instance, the bags you throw is the way to go.
Yes, ma'am?
Yeah, so Tina Smith. So what about the choice of either the 33 or the 65?
Oh, sorry, 33 or the 13. 13-gallon bag or a 33-gallon bag.
And bins are.
The bin is 65, but if you find that too unmanageable, you can request a smaller bin. I think that they go down to a 40-something gallon bin as well. Phyllis?
I'm in Phyllis Brannon, Brookside Drive. I'm in favor of the pay as you
Throw.
Yeah, don't let me mess you up.
But I guess I want to also just mention that we are in our third year contract of this contract. So it may work really well, or it might not. And so we have some time to kind of test this. And on the solid waste committee, we've been talking about other things that we might be able to do if it doesn't work out. But at least we're, it could work and it might not work, but we have to test it.
Sir?
Still Brad Owen, still Ada Drive. I have an 82-year-old mother who generates a lot more trash than I do. And, I mean, a lot less trash than I do. So, she generates a lot less trash than I do. So I just feel like, it's only fair that if I generate more trash, then I should pick up the cost of that. I also agree with this gentleman who said there needs to be some sort of equity in what people are holding right now. in their hands with tags, or some sort of credit
Mhm.
when this switches over.
Is, I'm sorry, can I just, is that up and above the few months where
Well,
there's no
we
bags
can
or
make-
tags? I guess it's.
We can have
No,
that
no,
discussion. at the meeting.
like what you were proposing, like
If
a
delayed.
grace period until, however many months
Mhm.
that where we don't have to buy bags to kind of offset what I'm holding in my hand right now with tags. That,
Mhm.
that if you say has a value, like you said.
Okay, thank you. Todd?
Did we get a deal where we give you tags for bags?
We talked about that and we just felt like it would run into the same logistic challenge of storing bags at the town office, having a trade-in system and stuff like that. So,
I gotta throw away the tags.
yeah.
It's 5 tags for a bag.
Jared?
I'm in favor of grace period, rugged bags,
Mhm.
and if you're gonna store them at the get and go, those things will be off the shelf in like 2 seconds.
Mhm.
I think they got probably storage problems too.
Mhm.
Everyone's gonna go there first and be sold out all the time, just like, but maybe there's some brainstorming there. Maybe
Mhm.
someone here can help build a shed or something. But yeah.
Well, that wouldn't get burglarized at all.
Sir?
Yeah, I guess I'll go with the bags. I'm kind of against it, but, that's the majority, but I do agree on the grace.
Guys, just one follow-up, he brought up a good point, as far as buying tech, you say they're gonna be at Hannaford and Shaw's, is this like Hannaford, Brunswick, Topsom, Auburn?
We're going
or-
if we approve going with pay as you throw, we talked to them and they are confident that they can get them into the stores that we need because they have a relationship with the parent company for these grocery stores and it's more or less a hey, we need to put those in there. So if we go through this, my thought process would be the Brunswick Hannafords and the Topsom Hannaford Market Basket, and then yeah, and so we could get into those details. And I would encourage folks to, if we end up voting through with this, to let us know where you need them to be to make it convenient for you.
That might be a good question, something you guys put out in the town
Mhm.
newsletter or whatever, just because I automatically, we shop in Topsom, so I'm thinking Topsom,
Mhm.
I was like, well, sometimes we can stop at Hannaford and Auburn and.
Mhm.
We shop in Yarmouth. So-
He talked about the Shaws in Freeport, Food City in Lisbon, Auburn, Topsom, Brunswick. I think anything in the geographic area.
And we don't want to make it seem like, we're benefiting any one grocery store by saying, oh, they're the only ones that get to carry them or anything like that. So, it's important for us that these are accessible.
Thank you for doing that.
Yeah, no
Appreciate it.
problem. I had in the back. Oh, sorry, Jill.
Is Amazon or Walmart available? And I would also recommend adding Hannaford and Gray.
Okay.
I looked at Walmart to see if they held any bags for any communities. I did not see them.
Okay, and Amazon? For the-
I would doubt it.
second home?
Yeah.
I would doubt it, but we can look into it.
He said you can order.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Real quick, he said Jessica pointed out you can order them online. I think through
right.
direct
From
through
him.
through them. Yeah.
There you go.
So, can I just add something real quick
Yeah.
to that point then? If you can order them online from him, why can't you give us a coupon to get one box free from him?
Because we get back to the revenue discussion and the opportunity cost and the lost revenue.
Right, but you're already dealing with a lost revenue of $125,000 with the tax.
Right. And if
You've
so,
already-
at this
you've
point,
already
we've
budgeted.
litigated that conversation, and we're just trying to get feedback so we can wrap it up and move on to the next thing. I understand your point. It's still a lost revenue concern there, and it would just have to be offset in taxes.
You're not gonna like my question.
Sir, yeah, no problem.
Okay, never mind, I'm gonna ask it. So, your revenue of 120,000, that's at $1.80 a bag.
Mhm.
So does Hannaford, all these other companies that we're gonna go buy from, what are they charging you or us to sell those bags?
They don't charge. So he has a
Just
relation.
talking for
Yeah,
free and everything.
they have a relationship with this company because they find that it's what they call a foot traffic item, meaning that people either are already in there or people are going there to get them. So they don't carry like a stock fee, which surprised us as well. But I guess they just like to be a good community participant.
So buying from the company, is it like, yep, I'm from Durham, I'm paying this much, or are we paying 28 cents or whatever it was?
You pay we set the bag cost, so no matter where you buy them, they charge what we have set for the bag
That
cost.
company has a Durham button and you.
Yep, that's what my assumption is. I will make sure we clarify that though.
I'm in favor of it. I would rather just throw whatever I want in there, but I don't know. You pay 120,000 in revenue for all these extra bags, or maybe we spend a little bit more in extra, because the bins are big. I've seen them. They're very durable.
Mhm.
I don't know if you're gonna fill them and offset the cost of the revenue, but.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for the feedback though. Jill?
Are they subject to sales tax?
I'm not sure.
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Okay, thank you.
Can I just say, I got a text message from a former board member who was in support of the pay as you throw and the grace period.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Bill?
Yeah, a question and a comment, question.
Oh, tell us who you are and where you're from.
Oh.
I could say it for you, but I gotta give you.
If you remember.
I live on the Stackpole Road. I have a short-term.
I wasn't trying to trick you.
If we're purchasing bags from Hannaford and Shaw's, are those stores writing the town of Durham a check?
Yeah, so that's part of the Waste Zero's management. That's what their 25-cent deals with. And then they also give us reporting about how many bags are being sold and those sorts of things. So that's built into the 25-cent margin on the bag for them.
It all goes to Waste Zero, and Waste Zero sends us a check.
Yeah, Waste Zero collects all of that and then and returns the money to us.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm in favor of the pay as you throw. You generate more trash, your cost, then I think, then pay your fair share. And my last comment is I would like to thank the select board for having this open forum. I think this is very appropriate. I hope it helped you. You don't get this kind of feedback with all of your decisions. It's a difficult decision to make. And you're not, you're gonna please some people and not please others. And this is the occasion where you earn your pay for sure. But this, I believe, was an appropriate decision to have this type of meeting, and I want to thank you for giving up what is your allotted time to do select board business and allow the town to speak versus just having scheduled a totally separate meeting. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Mill. I will, thank you. I'm gonna note down, thank you. I will note that when we move into this, I have a proposal that I want to put forward to the board, and it was completely derived from public comment that I've received in both tonight. So this is 100% a point where like my stance on this completely changed because of public comment, which is easier to get now than it's ever been. So, but we appreciate you all for being here till 9 o'clock on a Tuesday night too. Do we have any other comments? All right. So we're going to move now into actually voting on this issue, but generally we only do our meetings until 9 o'clock. So I'm going to make a motion that we extend our meeting until 9:45 because we have a lot to do. You all don't have to stay here, but that's my motion. Hoping we use less.
Do we need to do that? Because I thought we
9:45.
I'm just doing it. So do I have a second on the motion? All right, Josh.
I'll see you tomorrow.
All in favor?
Thank you.
Any opposition? Passes. You all are leaving before the big vote of what we're doing with the bags. Yeah. So we're gonna do that right now.
Thank you, solid waste committee.
So no, we've extended. We usually end our meetings at 9, and we have a vote to extend it past 9:45. We're gonna do the vote on the bags right now.
Hey, folks, if you don't mind having your conversations outside, we
Yeah.
can continue on with the meeting.
So, real quick. So what I'd like to propose here after we got all this public feedback is that we go with the $1.80 a bag and the $3 for the 33-gallon bag, but we say no tags, no bags until August 1. So that gives us all of March, all of April, all of May, all of June. So almost 5 months of no tags, no bags, as that is to be credit for tags that people have already bought, and then we won't have the bags come out until then. So that's my I'm making that motion. Do I have a second?
I second that
Okay.
motion.
Second, and any additional discussion?
Go
ahead. I just want to say, like what Mel said, I've been going back and forth on this. And I know we had a discussion today and I can't remember, some time ago, and Jerry and I've been calling Jerry. This was extremely helpful, and I do agree with Mel. It was a good, long discussion. And I was for the pay as you throw, and I was kind of leaning back against it. Keep going back and forth. So I appreciate everybody coming and the good discussion. And thank you for doing the bulk of the talking.
Yeah.
Well, ask my wife. She'll tell you I talk a lot. So appreciate that. So we have the motion. Do we have any other discussion?
I agree with everything except the one August thing. I think we kind of have forgotten that we paid for it. Our fiscal year ends at the end of June. And so everything's been paid, in taxes or however, but the 1st of July, the new fiscal year. So you haven't paid anything, going for 2027. So my initial thought was to just start with the new fiscal year, but it's not worth any more time. 1 month is 1 month, but it is $10,000-12,000 in lost revenue. So I just throw that out there in a year when we need every friggin' dime we can get. So in taxes, so it's going to be a big deal. So that's my comment.
I hear you. Any other comment or discussion?
I do. There was a mention with the Waste Zero people about, potentially selling advertisement, and I don't know how to do that. Was it? Yeah. I don't know if that's something someone in the public could, reach out and have someone reach out. But I think that's
just a point of clarification there. So when you get the bag, you can have your logo or whatever you want printed on it. I had just kind of flippantly suggested maybe we sell the advertising rights to that logo on the bag to generate revenue to offset trash expenses. The guy had never really heard of that idea, but it's something we could look into more. Should we go with the trash bag thing? And if we can talk to him about that, we can figure out the benefit there.
But that addresses some of that concern in that, I think it's something worth looking into. I don't know who would do that because I don't.
Sponsorship. It's interesting.
We're trying to think outside the box here.
I can tell you, as a guy who runs an energy company, we're always looking for stuff like that. So.
All right, sold. 50 cents a bag, it's all yours. All right, well, seeing no additional discussion, the motion is to adopt the pay-as-you-throw bag system with $1.80. Sorry, Jess, I know you gotta write this whole thing down. With $1.80 tall kitchen bag and a $3 33-gallon bag to begin August 1st. And to discontinue the use of trash tags effective March 10th, which is today. So, all in favor?
We're not using trash tags? We're not gonna use tags?
Any opposition? Seeing none. So we'll communicate this out, but starting today, we'll say no trash tags. We'll let Casella know. And so you will be able to throw out from now until August 1 without tags to give you credit for what you have already acquired for tags to try to have that equity standpoint. And then we'll start August 1 with the pay-as-you-throw bags. So, all righty.
Thank you, everybody, for
Thank you so much for the feedback.
Thanks, Steve. I'll tell the neighbors. You did a good job representing.
So they start picking up on.
I'm appreciative.
Yeah, they start picking up tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
YouTube, so
Yeah.
video.
Just email them tonight and, we'll send it out tomorrow.
Select board meetings are on the Durham
Okay.
website.
So I need to use the restroom real quick, so we can just take 60 seconds.
And it has a link for
Okay.
every.
I thought it was something special.
My husband would be really
No.
thankful. Oh, it's right. I'm so tired. My daughter, I told you my daughter was grandkids.
Oh, your garbage gets up.
Oh, and my husband was just like, I'll do that.
I did, all my kids went off to college or did whatever they gotta do. And I'll never forget one night I was sitting there thinking, it's so, I love being at I really did. Then I'll be damned, they all moved back in, they couldn't get jobs, they couldn't, my son, there were a whole bunch of reasons why. And then to top it off, we had had my wife and Mama's friends that their daughter, because she was student teaching in our town. So I ended up with having 3 kids. I ended up having, 4. It was not, it was, I was happy. I love my kids, but I was more happy to see them all go. So.
Yeah, and, 11, 9 years old, 11 years old, and 2 years old.
Yeah, that's.
And my daughter.
And your daughter, but you're a good person, you're a good grandmother and mother to do it.
It's good, I love it so far.
But it is, going from an empty nester and just kind of, being able to.
Walking around your underwear.
Yeah, exactly. I can
Now
sit.
I'm like, can you buckle that belt?
I ate what I wanted to eat and all that good stuff.
Meeting.
Yes, that's good feedback.
And. Means of business.
Absolutely.
On a very.
We have money for trash day this year, right? When I look at the budget, so 2026, we've got, it's the 2027, that's the.
Starting July 1, it's not in the budget right
Yes,
now.
20, next
Yeah.
fiscal year.
Art, do you have any trash questions?
Well, actually, I did actually think of something. Because he mentioned that you guys are gonna sell out, and if it's all at the Superdome, you guys should really think about start selling bags before you actually need them.
Yeah, that's a
Just so
good
that
point.
they're available,
Oh, yeah.
people can pick them up.
Because there'll be a run on it first.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you start selling them
And I'd say.
June, July.
Well, they said it would be 6 weeks.
Yeah.
That they, from the time Gary comes out, 6 weeks actually have bags in Hannaford. Yeah, but people are saying, my grandma's not gonna be able to get a bag out. How do you feed it? I know she's in a nursing home. It's kind of like just have them.
Those are huge problems already.
I just ignore it most of the conversation.
It's actually gonna be a problem.
That seems to be a pretty easy one. We'll just sort of tag team it as we go.
Put in a line for a snack budget for meeting goes past 9.
That's what they do.
So when they went to the restriction of budget.
Deb just
Yeah,
walked out.
we're just gonna give Deb a minute to get back here.
She is.
Hey, Deb?
Yeah.
All right, I do want to move the first read of the budget ahead of the discussion around appointing elected members to committees, just because we have outside staff here that we pay to be here. So that's my motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposition? Seeing none, we pass that. All right, first read of the budget. One thing I want to clarify here is, especially because it's already 9:05. I don't want us to get into the weeds on the budget here tonight. This is really the first step of submitting the budget to the public to see what our working draft is. So if we have questions, let's keep them super high level in the sense of what is this, what is that, rather than why. If we're going to have a discussion on policy and adjusting figures, that will begin at our next meeting. This is really just to get the first rough draft of the budget into a public space and for us to just do a real quick read through. Does that work for everybody?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. All right. Mr. Douglas, all yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So let's look at capital first. So they have 3 sheets there, a little graph on them. Oh, you know which ones I'm talking about. Have you guys looked at
The
this?
CIP?
Yeah, the CIP, yeah, capital, yep. All set?
Yeah.
Okay, so how this is set up is that we've asked the department heads to put together their equipment list or any kind of infrastructure projects, and it gets put on the list here. So if we want to look at public works first, we can look at that. So what you'll see different on this list that you've seen in the past is that we added some infrastructure projects to this to be done in 27 and 28 and 29. Okay, so, and we've also added a few, tandem axles that weren't on the plow trucks.
Yeah, public works.
Public works, yeah. So once we,
Thank you both for coming.
once we put this, list together, right, we kind of look at it and say, okay, you know, when is the replacement year of this equipment, or when do we plan on doing those infrastructure projects? Okay, so once we do that, and you can see, what's-
Sorry, I got lost. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry, Jerry. Yep.
all right, so you'll see like what the current year and what the cost of the replacement is, and we've added a 3% interest rate on that.
Right.
What's different about this than you've seen in the past is we've taken the most expensive tandem axle plow trucks and we've spread them out, purchased them over 3 years. In the past, a couple of them have come up, you know, back to back, but the town just can't afford that, right? So we're trying to spread those out. So the last truck that we just bought was in 2024. You'll see that at the very bottom, being purchased again. By the time we get there in 2042, that truck will be 18 years old. So we may have to shift this, you know, as we get later in the year. So that's kind of how this planning document capital works. You know, you put together, you know, I mean, this goes all the way to 2042. So things could happen between now and then. All right, so you just sort of, so if you flip it onto the other side, that orange line represents where you are with your funding. And you really always want to sort of be above that black line. All right, that's where you sort of even. So if you look at over to the left-hand side, in 2027, for the capital reserve for public works, we want to put 250 in there. 28, it's 260, you know, 2029, it jumps up to 270. To be able to buy these pieces of equipment or do this infrastructure and have the money to do it without having to borrow or bond or lease. Because that costs money and interest, so you always want to try to put it in your reserve so you can fund that. And this, so that's the capital plan this year for public works. All right, that's how that works. You know, you clear on
Yes.
how that works?
Yeah.
Okay, so public works, you'll see when we get to the budget, there's 250,000, and that's out of that transfers outline, and we'll go through that. So the buildings, we do the same thing, we look at our buildings and it's like, okay, you know, what's coming up, what do we need to fix? And you can see like the public works garage furnace is like on its way out. So in 2029, we wanna budget like 20,000 to fix that. The salt shed door in 2029, we do 25,000 and so on and so forth as you look at the description of these building improvements. All right, so you flip it over, just like, and you can see what years the funding amounts that we want to fund for each year. So this year for buildings, we're looking to put in 5,000 in the reserve. Okay. 2028 at 6,000, 2029 at 7. But every year we'll take another look at that and see what adjustments we need to make. And the reason being, if you go back to the public works, he's got the infrastructure project in there. Well, if he does that infrastructure project, then that money's gonna come out of this plan. And that'll adjust your numbers. Okay?
Yep.
All right.
So more or less, the change here is that we've added infrastructure projects into the public works.
Yeah, and
Capital.
he did add some trucks, because I think originally when he put this, when we put this together, the trucks came off a 10-year plan. But there were trucks that weren't on it because they weren't scheduled to be replaced in that 10-year plan, so we had to make up for that this year.
Okay.
Can we ask questions of you?
Yeah, sure.
On the public works side, we do have mobile traffic control lights. Is that the topic we've been talking about?
No, so those are lights to help with flagging because we pay flaggers.
Gotcha.
So Calvin is asked to buy some light, so he doesn't have to have his crew flagging, so it'll stop the traffic.
Oh, okay,
So
that's
that-
good, that's
that-
actually good.
Yeah,
Thank you.
it's worth, gonna go
Yeah,
a 20-year life
yeah,
on that.
yeah.
The fire capital hasn't really changed that much from the past few years. So that's relatively the same as it has been. Okay, so you flip it over, and so this year, we're looking to put 140,000. So in total, transfers out for your reserves is gonna equal 395,000. See that in the budget. But that's basically how how the capital is gonna work. So you're funding it so you can pay for it without having to borrow the money or have
Yep.
spikes in taxes.
Yeah, I will.
Because you're not saving for it, and it comes
Yeah.
up to be.
I will note, like, when I look at the fire department capital, we have like a vote on there. So we in the past have been able to get grants to help with that stuff, but it's just best practice to budget for them and then hope for the grants rather than to budget budget and think that the grant is anything. So that's why that's on here, correct? So like I noticed, like, for example, Chief, you've got the rescue boat in 2045. The last boat we got was through a grant, but you're including it in here because it's not a good practice to just say, oh, we'll get another grant, because if we don't, then we don't have the opportunity to replace that. That's why it's here.
Correct, so I put it out
Yep.
20 years in the boat, and it's also one of the 7 or 8 pieces of equipment that you own, so it has to be accounted for.
Yep.
For replacement.
No, totally fine. I just want to make sure we clarify it. Some of these things could possibly be grant acquired, but
Yeah.
we need to budget for them in case those opportunities aren't available.
Because you allowed us to purchase that UTV last year at
Mhm.
30,000, I pushed the ambulance purchase out a year, which actually saved 40,000 a year for capital. So that offset that cost, and continued down the line.
Perfect. Thank you.
And on all of these, there are replacements, not.
No, sir.
Mm.
No, they're only speaking for the fire department. It is rehab. So if you don't see something that costs $1 million.
But you're not adding a fire truck.
We're not adding.
And the same with them.
Well, the ambulance would be added. If you purchased an ambulance in 2030, that would be in addition to, that would be a second one.
Would
We
give
would
us a
not
second one.
trade in what we have. That's always been the plan. I've said that for the past years.
Yep.
And again, you can change that, but otherwise, it takes until 19 more years before you buy a new pumper. Everything is rehab and sunk into it, just like the ladder truck. Again, my plan, somebody else could come by and talk it, but currently low mileage, good investment, pennies on the dollar is what this is about.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Chief.
Any other questions? Mark, do you have anything to add? No. Okay. All right.
And I'm sorry, this doesn't include expanding the town hall or a major addition or whatever to
So-
Eureka.
These capital improvement plans consider the kind of midway types of capital improvements, right? So you have capital improvements or that are technically capital improvements, but they're small in
New
dollar.
furnace or whatever, maybe.
You just pay for them in the year that you do it.
Maintenance.
They're usually minor maintenance or even small pieces of equipment. And then there's capital items that you're most likely gonna have to bond for because they're just so large.
And they're
So,
not in here.
$5 million, $10 million building, you're not gonna start saving for that. That's gonna be easy. So this is the mid-range type of capital improvement.
Okay, thank you.
Good question, John. Thank you.
Okay, ready to jump into so have you all looked at this, read the summary?
Yeah.
And all that? Do you want to go over the summary or do you want to get right into the budget? How do you?
For sake of time, let's get right into the budget because we're gonna talk about this ad nauseum for the next 3 meetings anyways.
Well, I'm gonna use the
Does that work
summary
for
as a
folks?
starting point, because I think that summarizes the increases, so just like the school, there are some increases in the budget, because basically everything goes up. And then this year, the wages and benefits have gone up, fixed costs has gone up, and discretionary funding has gone up, and we'll talk about those and the rate of those expenditures, okay? So wages and benefits, there's an increase. We use the budget, the wage table. And if the town, if the legislative body votes to add COLAs to the employee's retirement plan, the wages and health insurance went up 9%. So the wages and benefits went up 295,590. That's what it says on the summary page.
Just to
okay?
clarify, that is actual wages through the wage table. That's a 9% increase in the benefit cost, and that
And health
in
insurance.
health insurance costs, and that includes an assumption that the town votes to approve the COLA adjustment for pension.
Correct.
Okay, so there's 3 elements there.
Right. And what makes up some of those increases that the fire department added a full-time position. Okay, we're restructuring the planning and code enforcement. We as part of my manager report, but we had our code enforcement officer resigned. So what we're gonna do is we have a certified code officer in the room right now, and his name is Calvin Bomier. So he's now going to be the code enforcement officer, and we're gonna hire an administrative assistant to help him both with public works, the code officer job, and they can also help in the town office because we could use it. Right, so that position is funded with full health insurance, so the previous code officer took cash in lieu. So it's funded, the health insurance is funded at 33,000, because that's what it is for family, and we're gonna have to assume that's what they're gonna take. But if they don't, say they take cash in lieu, we'll save 32,000, and if they take family, it'll be closer to 15, so, but we're funding it at that level. Okay? The public works wages and benefits are also up quite a bit, 35%, and that's because in that wage table, we had a hard time keeping public works employed. From June to February, we didn't have a full public works going. It was actually February 2nd when we actually had the full public works employed, and we lost some folks because of wages they left because they.
That's 9 months of the year.
Money, so that's increased quite a bit. And like I said, the retirement plans jumped up, so those are the reasons why those are up for the most part. And we can get into more detail when we sit down and really look at this budget. The county tax, that's the correct number in the budget, so that's up 12.6%, so there's an increase there. And we just got on talking about solid waste. So that's up too, but with the pay-as-you-throw, it might help offset that. Okay?
You got education in there as well.
Oh, yeah, so education, so there's I put a 7%, you heard Tom talk about, he was putting together a 6, 7, and 8. So what I did was we just added 7% to the assessment, what we were assessed, so that's still up in the air, so that might change.
And that was his recommendation, so I imagine that's what it'll be.
But I think he's talking about the 7% of the whole school budget, not our assessment, so that's a little different, right? But that's all we have to go on right now. So that number.
And they said March 23rd,
24th.
they're 25th, they're gonna have that number.
Yeah. So, anything you wanna add about that? That's where you're.
About education?
No, about the whole emphasis. Okay, all right. So then let's move to the budget and see what some of these are. I would, for the sake of time, I would probably bring you 2-page. Here it says 13.
Also roads, while you look at that, roads is a decrease, and we're doing almost 3 miles less of paving.
Yeah, we'll get to that. Okay.
Yeah, I'd like to, so for the sake of time, I want us to go through this quickly, but we are gonna go through every section like that next meeting and the meeting after, so we're not gonna skim over it, but you bring up a good point, John.
So I wanna talk to you about these increases and how you kind of look at it. So you're on page 13 where it says add your percent of total expenditures at the top. So when you look at your wages and benefits, if you look at the budget for 2026, it was at a 13%. You see that?
Mhm.
So then if you go over to the 27, it's 14%. So it's up 1% from last year.
As a proportion of the budget.
Right, that's the rate of which it increased,
Mhm.
okay? Which is important, you know, and we'll look at the other categories, because the wages and benefits and your fixed costs and your discretionary are your expenditure categories,
Mhm.
okay?
Just a real point of comparison, like we just heard from the school superintendent, though. He was saying how their budget's like 70% wages and benefits. Our
Right.
budget's 14%
And I think if you
wages and
really
benefits.
broke down the county budget too, their biggest is gonna be wages and
Mhm.
benefits. And it's what inflation
Yeah,
does.
I only point that out. It's just a little point of comparison for us to take into consideration.
So if you, and then you go down to the fixed costs, those are the costs that we really can't touch. That's the education, that's the debt service, that's the county tax, these are your contracts, that sort of stuff. In 2026, that was 75.6%. So in 2027, that's 77.4. That's a 1.8% increase over last year. The rate of going up, okay? Again, so the rate of the fixed cost is almost another percent higher than the rate of the wages and benefits,
Mhm.
okay? But then when you get down and you look at the variable and discretionary costs, that's kind of like what you all have control of. If you look in 2026, that was 11.4%. Yep, percent. And in 2027, that's down 8.6%.
Yeah, that's where we sharpen the pencil.
So you can really look at this as pennies on the dollar. So every dollar that passes through that town office, 14 cents goes to wages and benefits, 77.4 cents goes to the fixed cost, education, county, and 8.6 cents is your discretionary.
Mhm.
That's where you have your most wiggle room. If you got any wiggle room at all.
Yeah.
All right, so that's where your increases are. And that sort of, so now let's look at funding sources. That's gonna be page 16 and 17.
Can I just ask about that?
Sure.
And maybe this is better for next meeting, but did the fuel budget take into account the current situation?
Well, it was kind of interesting, because I added 5,000 just, when did I call you up, just the other day? Because we got an email that GP Cog sent out, and they said that because of what's going on, they wasn't gonna be doing any competitive bidding. Because it's so volatile right now. So I actually, called up the vendor we used and got prices. So the one fuel that they don't quote, like I think we're paying $1.59 for propane, they will quote that, but the one that they don't is gasoline. So the gasoline is how they quote it is rack price plus 20 cents. So when I got the price from them, it was $2.25. So I kind of based it on that. Well, after what I was seeing on TV and everything going up, I made that $3 just to be safe. But it's a good point you bring up, because when things like this are going on in the world, all bets are off. You don't know what's gonna shake out here, so.
Yeah, I
it's
think this is
tough.
a good point, because someone earlier talked about, the price they pay for heating oil. And unfortunately, those expenses we have to pay for as a town too. So if there's volatility at home, we're experiencing the same volatility.
I can tell you that back in 2008, when I was at the DOT, when the barrel went up over $100, DOT paves 1 million ton a year. And when the barrel went up above $100 a barrel, they could only do 800,000 tons. So they reduced it because they didn't have it in the budget. So we could be looking at something like that too, if this thing continues to go on. We put an escalator clause in the contract, in our paving contract. So if it goes up, it goes up. If it goes down, it also goes down, but we're gonna have to keep an eye on the liquid asphalt. Because so the asphalt is made, it's a derivative from making fuel. It's a byproduct from that, so it comes from the same barrel. So it's just, it's really volatile right now, just throwing that out there. So I did add a little bit. I can't tell you if it's gonna.
We can get into this a little bit
Yeah.
more.
Yeah.
But that's a good point to bring up, and that's something we should all think about ahead of our meeting where we get in there.
So, you know, the funding sources in total here is we're thinking we're gonna get like 15% more in funding. So you can see this in excise tax, we're and motor vehicle tax and other stuff, it's 12.1. I mean, you can go down through here. We tried to do the best we could with estimating and projecting what we think the revenues will be, but again, it's not an exact science, so.
Before we would leave funding, I have concerns, and maybe it's just, I'm not reading this right. Before we get into 27, it looks to me like we've got significant shortfalls in 26 on our income.
But the FY 26 budget is an 18-month.
I understand that, but even so, you know, we're town clerk fees, okay, but there's some like state revenue sharing, we've got.
That's incurred quarterly, so some of that is gonna show up as
Okay,
absent.
that's my question is,
Yeah.
which of those are we still
Yeah.
getting money from?
I did some research in that. I'm sure Mark can speak to it. But
Yeah.
last time that was a question you had asked.
Yeah.
Some of those are incurred quarterly. Things like vehicle excise taxes. Not as many people are registering vehicles in January as they do in the summer months. So those aren't a continuous cash flow for some of those things. So they have troughs and peaks. It's my understanding.
Revenue homestead exact, there's, you know, I guess what I'm hearing, and which makes me happy, is that none of these are final input numbers, or am I wrong?
Well, with the homestead exemption, that's the
fine.
final amount that you got.
How about, and I don't, we don't need, we can go into them later, but it does bother me that in some of these we are, and if it's, some of them are minor. I mean, like homestead exemption is, well, it's 20-some thousand, you know, that's 21, that's almost, that's over $100,000 short. So that's $100,000 in revenue we're not gonna get, because it's
Correct.
already.
Yeah.
And
So you
so
only
those
get-
are my concerns.
Yeah, you only get the
one-time
homestead,
payment.
the one-time payment.
So I guess, you know, as we're talking about 27, I'd like to start with, where are we gonna end up in 26? Given that we still got some quarterly payments coming in, people are still gonna register cars and some of that other stuff. Are we gonna be
Yeah.
way short, little short?
But one thing to note too, John, is when we look at like code enforcement fees,
Right.
that's up 153. And so it's looking, there's a give and take there. If there's less homestead exemption, that means there's less people taking a homestead exemption, which means there's a larger tax base available, a larger valuation
Which
available.
we're not gonna, just not gonna
which-
get, I mean, they're not gonna pay
yeah.
us the homestead. That's
So,
my concern is.
we don't, we can get into these details at the next meeting. I don't want you to think I wanna skip over them, but just for
I
sake of
won't let you,
time,
but,
yeah, no, because I flagged them myself too. But I do want us to just move
That's
through,
fine,
yeah.
I'm good with that.
It's probably best that you look at the bottom number and not the line by line, because just like you said, we may be down in one, but we're way over in another, but the bottom revenue line that we projected, we're gonna be pretty close.
Yeah, so I did a projection for all of those revenues through the rest of the year, and we're gonna come in around 3.8 million in all of those revenues. So the
Okay.
total funding sources that you see at the bottom.
I just
3.7.
wanted to raise that concern.
Yeah, no, it's a fair concern, but I've done a projection, we're not.
Yeah, we can't make it up in Eureka rental fees.
No,
so.
right.
Unless you start throwing some parties over there,
That's-
John.
Good, thank you though.
And just to note with the trash tags now, with the change that we voted on tonight, that is obviously going to change.
Well, I don't know.
So that's one thing, what I want, we can talk about again, but when I look, our initial estimate from that, the company was 150,000. And so this is budgeted at 125,000.
Right.
And so it would be starting a couple months later. And so we can talk about that number.
Yeah.
We can do some back in the napkin math about the lost revenue during March through
Yep.
that, so.
So really what you're looking at here is a bunch of data.
Mhm.
Some of the data we know pretty well, some of it we don't, and that's one where we're just talking about the program. We haven't started the program, but by next year at this time, we'll have better data point to go with, because we'll see what that revenue was. So right now, we're just,
It's an estimate.
it's an estimate, it's, and it's.
And we can adjust that number.
Just flagging.
And then the budget committee will take a look at that number as well, and they'll have a lot of eyes on it.
Okay. Sorry, so let's just keep right on going. We'll just hit the high points here. Yeah, I'm just kind of like. All right, yep, so. Hold on, just let me. This is still funny, I'm gonna get my bearings straight. What
are you looking for?
Well, I've kind of gone over the revenues,
Yeah.
so I don't know if I just want to get into the actual budgets.
Yeah, we've got, so revenue here, funding up 15%. Let's just go real high level again, because we're gonna dive right in on this next meeting. Real high level on sections, not individual.
Well, I do, but there is some things that I wanted to.
Yeah.
We'll get into the summary page, we'll look at that.
Mhm.
All right, but there are some things that I want to point out in the budget, just so we can get out of here, right? So you'll see in the, planning and codes, you'll see, I just want to point out the yellow stuff that we can see, right?
What page are we on?
So
22.
22. So that codes enforcement, that full-time wages, you're seeing that as zero because we're hiring someone for 32 hours, but we're gonna split that between public works and the planning and codes, okay? So that's why you're seeing a different number. We went from 65 to 73,000 basically in that one.
But that's a lower hourly wage job, but we are
Yes.
budgeting for full family insurance, which is
Yes.
$33,000.
Right.
If that person were to fill the role and take cash in lieu, that employee cost drops by $31,000. But we have to budget for the full because we don't know what that person
Well, if we
would
go
take.
full-time.
Yeah, no,
You mean-
they
you
get
mean
benefits if they go full family coverage for that position.
No, but I mean, if it's a part-time position, we don't pay medical.
Yeah,
Well-
but this is budgeted for a 30.
no, I got the budget.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
It's a, did you get it?
no, he's understanding.
Yeah.
All right, okay. And then you'll see in the travel and mileage, that's gone because Calvin has a truck. That town pays for, so that. We talked about bulky waste. So you'll see that's really the only yellow part of the budget too.
What page?
That's going to be on
26.
page 27. So I'm just gonna give you my rationale for why I cut it. Okay? So as a manager, I'm gonna manage
Thank you, Alan.
and budget for the entire community, all right?
Mhm.
So in bulky waste, you had 270 participants last year. So, but you're funding it and everybody's paying for it, but only 270. Personally, I don't think that's fair to the people that don't use it. But that's a decision that you have to make. And Mark and I we're happy to put it back in there if that's what you decide to do, but I want you to understand my rationale for it. Okay, it's, and that's really what it is. You got a very minority of people using it, but everybody's paying for it. Okay, so that's
Can you
why.
give us that number, or is it just based off of 20?
So it would be
Never mind.
18,000 if
It
we
would
put
be,
it back
okay.
in, yeah.
Okay.
I just cut it, because, we'll look at the summary and you'll see why I cut it. So let's just go right to the front page of the summary.
Page number, please.
11.
11.
Okay, so the funding requirements, is up 11.5%. And you can see the percentages of each department. General government's up 7.7, public safety's up 9.7, public works is 1.6. Community services is up 14.2.
Yeah, 50%.
50%.
Right.
Yeah, but it's a
Oh, I'm
very
sorry,
small.
I missed it, yeah.
Yeah.
So
It's
townwide is 14.2, sorry, I
Yeah.
misread the line.
Yeah.
For a total of 11.5.
Just, yeah, that 50% increase is on a $1,000 budget line, so very small. But
So-
total funding requirements is up 11.5%. That's what you're saying.
Yeah. The funding requirements, what we need to expend, 11.5. Funding sources is at 15.3%. Okay. That's what we're estimating that an increase in.
Yeah.
That includes this ambulance increase that we approved last week or last time.
Yeah.
That doesn't come out of this, but out of the general fund, that comes out of the capital projects fund.
I'm not buying the ambulance.
No, this is for the service fee that we charge.
Yeah, we increased the
Yeah.
service.
Does that get
Quite a bit,
updated in
actually.
this? Those new fees?
We're increasing the budget for revenues for ambulance fees.
Yes.
That's already included in
So if
here.
you stroke out, you better bring more money with you.
So it went up 7%.
Mhm.
The budget that we're planning for ambulance
Okay,
revenue.
thank you.
Okay, so the use of fund balance in here right now is 500,000. That's a 1.4% increase over last year. Okay. And by using that, the total tax levy is 10.9. So you could, you're gonna need to look at this and decide, are you okay with that? And you're gonna need to try to find, if you wanna bring it down, where you do that. Do you do it in your reserves? That's an option. When you take away from reserves, you're gonna have to find a way.
It's just
at some
kicking the
point to
can
put
down
it
the
back.
road.
Right, you're just kicking that. And if you use more fund balance, this is where it gets a little tricky. So you're getting at that point where your fund balance is right in that sweet spot where you want to try to keep it. So even though this tax levy doesn't look good, it's really good, like, financial policy because of that fund balance. If you use more fund balance to get that tax levy down, yeah, it looks good on the taxes, but it's not good on your financials. You know what I mean? Because you're really flirting with, if you get that down too low, then you won't be able to use anything at all, and that's gonna raise your taxes.
Well, we run into cash flow issues and
Exactly.
need temporary, what is it, TANs or?
Tax anticipation
Yeah.
notes. Right. So, it's a tough one to swallow. And I'll share with you too, I've got a wage and benefit study. I think I actually have shared that with you.
The analysis, yeah.
Analysis, so I've kind of broken it down by position, what the study's average is, what we currently are,
Yeah.
and what the wage table does. And you guys can kind of look at that and see where you're at with,
Alrighty.
I mean, this is,
Yeah, this is a good first presentation. I don't want us to, at 9:40, get into figures. This is getting this into the public record. I would encourage everyone, I know everyone's already looked at this. Look at it some more, especially some of the areas that Jerry's flagged, any areas you have of concern. And come prepared next meeting to, sharpen our pencil, pull out our erasers, talk about things. Mark is gonna be here. We're gonna be able to have the budget up on screen. And if we want to make adjustments and see what that impact is downstream, we can do that. But let's just make sure we do our homework. If you have questions about items, please feel free to reach out to myself or Jerry. Obviously just facts and figures type stuff, but we will have the whole crew back here in 2 weeks to go through questions like what you brought up, John, about funding sources and stuff like that, or questions about, the bag fees, permits, those sorts of things.
and I would encourage you to read the analysis and highlights. Of the budget. Okay, so, some work went into this, and it really does sort of explain it, and, and understand too, that tax levy amount, that 10.9, you gotta find $100,000 to move that up or down, right? So if you want to go down 1%, you gotta find $100,000 somewhere to do it. Okay, and also understand too that $4,000 either way it's 1 penny on the mill rate,
Mhm.
the way this currently is.
Mhm.
So, you know, just.
Gives us a good unit
It
of
kind
measure.
of, yeah, it just kind of gives you like where you're at.
Mhm.
So.
Thank you for that.
Thank you, Jerry.
Good job, guys.
This is all on the website.
Yep.
So
it's all
everyone
on the
has
website.
access to it.
If you're good with the capital the way it is, we'll start to put the town meeting budget stuff together. We'll put this on there for everybody to see. Of course, we'll wait to do, you know, of course, it's on the agenda stuff so people can see it, but till you kind of adopt the budget that you want. We'll also put it on the website, but.
Yeah. Works for me.
So.
Any questions either for Jerry, Mark, or about the process? So just a reminder, we're gonna talk about this, get in the weeds with it next meeting. The meeting after that, Jill and Milt are gonna be at that meeting to go over, review it with us as well. Ask any sort of facts and figures questions that they have, and that's when we'll lock in our recommendation and send it to them. So that's in a couple meetings, but we encourage everyone who's interested in the budget to come to all of these to hear what we're seeing and or see what we're seeing and hear what we're saying and those sorts of things.
Feel free to shoot me some questions if you have them.
Cool.
By email or whatever, call me.
Mhm. Awesome.
Appreciate that.
Alrighty, just want to judge people's interest level here.
Thank
So
you, this is good work.
yes, all right. Thank you, Jerry. Thank you, Mark. And thanks for being here tonight. That's a lot for everyone. Just want to address, we have one item left in just a discussion around appointing elected members to committees. Is that something that we want to extend the meeting and do tonight, or do we want to table that? That's up to you all. I know it is getting late.
How long the discussion is gonna be.
Can we table it?
Till,
I motion to table it.
okay, so there's a motion to table it from Rebecca. Is there any second on the motion? Second for Josh? Yeah, I don't want to rush it. I have thoughts on the process. And I want to make sure we're giving it adequate amount of time. And so at 9:45, I don't think it's gonna get our full brain powers, and I don't want to rush this process. All right, so
You need a vote?
we vote?
if we have a vote to table to till next meeting,
Could I just ask that maybe we discuss this in at least a limited fashion before we discuss the budget?
yes, 100. It'll be we'll put it in old business, the first item.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mark.
All right, all in favor of the tabling till next meeting? Any opposition? John, all right, we'll table it. Thank you all.
Thank you.
I do need a motion to extend the meeting 5 minutes so we can do our wrap up.
So moved.
Second.
All right, any discussion? All in favor? Any opposition? Seeing none? All righty. That brings us to town manager report.
I got nothing. I was gonna tell you about the, code enforcement resigning, but I just thought it and, we're gonna fill up with, Calvin.
Cool.
Thank Calvin for doing it.
Yeah.
Did you already post the admin job?
I haven't, I'm waiting for a job description from Betsy.
Maybe I'll sign.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm retiring on
Yeah.
Tuesday.
Oh,
You are?
You retired?
On Tuesdays. my last day.
Congratulations.
Tuesday?
This Tuesday's the last.
Thank you for
Fantastic.
coming over to the dark side.
All right, well, I don't have a board member report. Josh, do you have one?
Just thank you for all the work that you guys have put into this. I know it's been a lot.
I should ratchet back just a minute. I do, Rebecca and I attended the GP cog meeting a couple weeks ago. And, that's what has spurred some more of our, my outreach attempts. And so if folks just give me feedback on those offline, that'd be great. I'm planning on our off weeks, just trying to do a quick video of here's what we're talking about at the next meeting, or here's what we talked about based off what we're getting for comments. Other than that, I don't have a report. Deb?
John and I attended the meeting that same.
Yes.
From the conservation committee.
Yep.
Ordinance,
Open Space Committee.
Open space, yeah.
Really well done, well facilitated. I took a video, but I couldn't send it because it's too big, but, of the woman who gave the overview, but it was very well done. And they just today sent out the summary to all the attendees, so I didn't read it yet, but.
Yeah.
All right, Rebecca.
I have nothing. Thank you for managing this conversation today.
Yeah, no
It's
problem.
really good.
That went really well.
John?
Yeah, I'll second Rebecca's thank you, and that's it.
I don't sleep anyway, so I can stay up there and do this.
Great, awesome.
All right, do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Motion from Josh, do I have a
Second.
second? From John, any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, any opposition? That passes
Oh, wait,
unanimously.
That was in favor.
Of the consent, yep. And real quick, upcoming meetings, Board of Directors meeting for RSU 5 is on March 11th, which is tomorrow at the library, Freeport High School Library. Public hearing of proposed land use ordinance changes is March 18th here at the fire station at 6:30. Select Board meeting is March 24th, 2026 at the fire station. Budget Committee meeting March 30th at the Eureka Center, and then 6:30 p.m. At 6:30 p.m. I don't see an executive session needed. In that case, a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Josh?
Second.
Second from John. All in favor? Any opposition? Seeing none. That ends our record-long meeting in my tenure here. So-
Is it record long? I don't
Right.
know.
Oh, yeah, we never.
So we have,
We've never gone.
Oh,
we
to
have
that.
signatures moving around.
There,
Yeah.
we got training coming up, so.
Yeah.
I'm gonna frame
We got
these.
training coming up.
I'm gonna frame these and hang them in my
No
garage.
signatures.
John just gave
No
these to me
signatures.
tonight.
Here we go.
I
Don't we
can
sign
use
the back of
them.
the AP?
I have some.
There it is.
Like
Sorry,
now-
yes.
Now I